Chapter 98. One day later, the Red Palm volcano. The volcano was still shrouded in flames. Su Fong no longer felt uneasy. The last time he came here, he was still weak, but now he was a transcendent expert. What was there to be afraid of? Wang. He landed beside the volcano and sensed that there were many monsters hiding in the caves around the volcano. They all seemed to be sleeping. The black fire monster was very powerful. It was almost as powerful as Dao Wuliang, and its cultivation must be comparable to the vast core realm. The temperature was astonishing. However, with the protection of his inner force, he gradually arrived at the world of flames that was dozens of feet long. However, it was somewhat difficult for him to reach the bottom of the volcano. The temperature of the flames was almost enough to melt his inner force. Indestructible golden body. The reason why the black fire monster could be the king of this volcano was because it could breathe fire. It was naturally adapted to the volcano's temperature, and it might even be able to walk through the lava. Even vast core realm warriors couldn't get close to the lava. Golden lines appeared on Su Fong's skin, and they gradually formed a golden defense. Indestructible golden body. This was a peerless ability from the giant diamond body. Normally, transcendent realm warriors couldn't cultivate it, but Su Fong wasn't an ordinary person. He had a perfect body and 9 yang true qi. Especially with the mixed Yuan Saint realm, how could he not cultivate this peerless ability? At this moment, he was protected by the golden 9 yang true qi. He was like a god of war heading deep into the volcano. Who's there? Suddenly, a furious voice shook the bottom of the volcano. Whoosh! A black shadow swam over, passing through the layers of burning flames. Amidst the black smoke, the black fire monster was wearing a big black cloak, and its demonic light flashed eerily. Damn it! It's you, human brat. The black fire monster had a photographic memory. It recognized Su Fong as soon as it saw him. He was the one who took its fire snake fruit and cooperated with Dao Wuliang to take away the magical item under the volcano. It gritted its teeth and rushed over without saying a word. It spat out black smoke, which turned into a firestorm. In this volcano, the firestorm could kill a low-level vast core realm warrior. Su Fong was no longer a weakling who knew how to hide and run. He opened his hands. Ghost King Claw kill. Two claw imprints collided with the black smoke storm. The black smoke storm was indeed terrifying, but Su Fong's spiritual energy was abundant. Combined with the Ghost King Claw, it would be even more terrifying. The black fire monster thought that he could quickly suppress Su Fong. 6th level of the divine arts. Where did you get such strength to be able to activate your artifact to such an extent? With a roar, he remembered that Su Fong had an extremely powerful Dharma treasure. It was a King Gray Dharma treasure. Although it was damaged, it was still very powerful. Chi the Ghost King's Claw tore apart the black smoke storm. Su Fong relied on his own strength to kill the black fire monster. Hiss hiss. The black fire monster was a snake spirit. It opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood-red blood. Together with its demonic aura, it rolled towards Su Fong. Su Fong thought to himself, I have to see if the indestructible golden body can withstand the poison gas. Seeing that Su Fong did not dodge, and instead used the indestructible golden body to take the initiative to welcome the poison gas, it pushed him back continuously. The blood in his body surged, causing him to suffer internal injuries. But what made him excited was that the indestructible golden body could actually block the poison gas. What kind of divine ability could block the heat of a volcano and block the poison gas invasion? Bang! The poison gas could not do anything to Su Fong, and it had already injured him. However, a demon was still a demon. The black fire monster immediately turned into a huge snake. Its tail swept over the dissipating poison gas, and this time, it smashed on his Su Fong's body. With a boom, the indestructible golden body's luster dimmed by more than half. Su Fong's bones were about to fall apart. He took the opportunity to grab the snake's tail. The Ghost King's Claw was very sharp, and it actually injured the black fire monster. However, Su Fong was also heavily injured. He was able to challenge the black fire monster, who was at the 6th level of the Divine Arts realm, to challenge a 6th or 7th level Vast Core realm cultivator. He was an entire level higher than a demon. The black fire monster howled in pain. It could not take care of a Divine Arts realm cultivator today. Human, I will definitely eat you today. Black fire, let us help you. You can't even kill a Divine Arts realm human. Didn't you always boast that you are the king of kings in this red palm volcano? What Su Fong did not expect was that 2 more demon auras appeared under the volcano. Obviously, there were 2 more hidden existences that were as strong as the black fire monster. Hua 2 black figures immediately flew out from the flames. As expected, they were 2 big goblin snake demons. They did not look much different from the black fire monster, but they were different in age. The shape and color of their black snake armor were also different. The black fire monster rolled up its true body and turned into its human form. Don't laugh at me. This human is not simple. He was the one who stole my fire snake fruit last time. Then let's kill him together. The other 2 snake demons were very excited. Kill me. Su Fong was also happy. It was just 1 black fire monster. He wanted to take down the black fire monster with his strength, but it was not enough. Now, there were 2 more snake demons. There were no demons in the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda, so these 3 Vast Core Realm snake demons were very suitable. The 3 snake demons would not be polite. Kill. Su Fong waved his hand. Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. Bang. He patted his empty bag, and the light-gathering cauldron first appeared. The Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda then flew out and turned into a foot long, floating above the volcano. King Grade artifact. The 2 snake demons quickly retreated in fear. The black fire monster said, "Don't be afraid, this is just a damaged King Grade artifact. This brat is just using it to scare people. Transcendent realm humans all use spirit treasures and are unable to activate the artifact's power. This brat is only at the 6th level of the Transcendent realm. How can he use a King Grade artifact? We'll use a volcano to burn it, and if fire doesn't work, we'll use an artifact to attack." Okay, the snake demons all believed that a human could not use a King Grade artifact. However, they were gravely mistaken. Su Fong was indeed a human, and he was at level 6 of the Divine Arts realm. However, he had a spiritual vein artifact. With it, he could fuse with the King Grade artifact, the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. Naturally, he could use a small portion of the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda's power. It was precisely this small amount of power that could suppress demons below the Golden Core realm without any problems. Hoo. The 3 snake demons first spat out scorching demonic flames. Su Fong formed a seal and said with indescribable power, "Xianhuang. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, lightning, gate of fire, open." This was the first time the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda was used to fight against a strong enemy. Su Fong was immediately dumbfounded. The 6 Paths Pagoda first expanded to 100 feet in size and stood in the middle of the volcano. Then the 3rd level of the pagoda opened and sucked the demonic flames of the 3 snake demons into the pagoda. Run. The 3 snake demons immediately understood what a King Grade artifact was. Once such an artifact was activated, it would definitely have the power to split the heavens and earth. The 3 snake demons were demons that had lived for thousands of years. Even if they had never seen one before, they had heard of its true power. Thus, they immediately turned and fled towards the bottom of the volcano. You still think you can run? Xuanwang's arrogant laughter came from the 6 Paths Pagoda. A shocking suction force instantly swept towards the demonic flames below. The suction force effortlessly sucked the demonic flames and the 3 snake demons into the 3rd level of the pagoda. Too powerful. This is a true divine art. Its magic power is boundless. Su Fong was the one who was truly dumbfounded. He did not expect King Grade artifacts to be so powerful. How could the Spirit Serpent Saber and the Ghost King Claw compare to the 6 Paths Pagoda? Clearly not. The 6 Paths Pagoda was still 100 feet in size. Xianhuang said, "Master, after subduing the 3 snake demons, I found a heaven and earth fire vein under the volcano. A heaven and earth fire vein? Could it be a fire attribute spirit stone? A heaven and earth fire vein is even more special. The longer this scarlet palm volcano exists, the more abundant the fire attribute spirit chi under the volcano will become. Xuanhuang's main body has 6 levels, and each level is dominated by the 6 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning. The gold and silver energy is the energy of metal, and any fire attribute energy is the energy of fire in front of Xianhuang. It just so happens that it can help Xianhuang recover. Refining the Scarlet Palm volcano is good. I'll go kill the other demons. How long will it take? Su Fang broke out in cold sweat. The 6 Paths Pagoda's power had already surpassed his understanding. It could even absorb the Scarlet Palm volcano. It was omnipotent. About 2 years. The main thing is to absorb the heaven and earth fire vein under the volcano. After Xianhuang said that, the pagoda directly descended into the volcano. Soon, the sound of lava boiling could be heard. It seemed that Xianhuang was going to absorb all the fire attribute spirit chi under the volcano. So, with the invincible golden body protecting him, he stepped on his flying sword and flew up. He immediately saw the fire serpent tree. Unfortunately, it would take 1,000 years for it to bloom. Demons, just next to him, in the cave he was familiar with in the past, he saw 2 demons coming out to investigate. Su Fang immediately patted his empty bag, and 2 illusion cloud ropes shot out. They easily tied up the 2 demons the moment they tried to escape. These demons are at most comparable to the Transcendent Realm and the Dharma Cave Realm. Xianhuang doesn't need such low-level demons. It's better to refine them all. He grabbed the Origin Sacred Mirror and shone it at the 2 demons at the same time. Sure enough, as he increased his strength and forced the 9 Yang true chi into the mirror, it immediately shot out a red light that enveloped the 2 demons. In less than 10 breaths, there was a crackling explosion. The demons lost control of their bowels and were swept away by the 9 Yang true fire. When they disappeared, the ancient mirror condensed a pearl containing pure Yang Qi. He stepped on his flying sword and went deeper into the cave. Whenever he encountered a powerful demon, he would refine them into pearls. As for the ordinary demons, he would let them go. 1 month later, the demons inside the Red Palm volcano, as long as they reached the Dharma Cave Realm, were all refined into pearls. Su Fang already had more than 20 pearls. Thinking that Xianhuang needed 2 years, he stepped on his flying sword. In just an hour, he once again returned to the Star Dual Sand Plain. Master! The Chatua demons quickly appeared from under the desert. Su Fang directly ordered, "Go under the desert and collect gold and silver. Collect as much as you can. These 10 channel activation pills are your reward." "Many thanks, Master." After not seeing Su Fang for several years, the Chatua demons had already kept quiet out of fear. They did not expect Su Fang to return. Fortunately, they obtained the immortal pills. Knowing that Su Fang would not do anything to them, they immediately escaped into the desert happily. Facing the Origin Sacred Mirror against the 2 suns, Yang Qi quickly gushed out. Su Fang absorbed the Yang Qi while devouring the Demon Essence pearls. 1, 2, 3 another month passed. Bang under the scorching sun, a powerful force exploded from Su Fang's body, shaking a hole in the sea of sand. Divine power, 7th layer under the fusion of various energies and the absorption of pure Yang Qi. Su Fang broke through again. From the Divine Power 6th layer, he tyrannically stepped into the Divine Power 7th layer. The power of advancement attacked the Divine Aperture, and his magic power was like a star vortex absorbing the power of advancement. His whole body was covered in layers of magic power. Chapter 99. Amidst the yellow sand, Su Fang successfully stepped into the 7th level of the Transcendent Power tier under the intense sunlight of the 2 suns. With the Origin Saint Realm, a large amount of elixirs, and a perfect body, Su Fang wouldn't be worthy of all these resources if he didn't have this kind of advancement speed. After stepping into the 7th level of the Transcendent Power tier, Su Fong could truly feel the existence of the Divine Aperture. The Divine Aperture was like an oval, and it felt like a huge black hole that was embedded in the depths of the brain. The Divine Aperture was constantly filled with magic power. Unfortunately, magic power required arduous cultivation, and it couldn't be cultivated in many aspects like spirit power. Day and night constantly changed. During the day, the desert was filled with blazing sunlight, and during the night, it was extremely cold. However, there was still some extreme cold energy that gushed out from the Origin Saint realm to complement Su Fong's cultivation. Otherwise, Su Fong's advancement speed wouldn't be so shocking. He was constantly increasing his strength, and he was changing every day. A whirlpool appeared in the desert ahead, and the Chateau demon had returned. It opened its mouth proudly and spat out a mountain of gold and silver. This was only a part of it, and it dived back into the desert. These mountains of gold and silver were all collected from the ancient desert city. I can't always trouble the seniors to refine gold and silver for me in the future. This time, I caught a 3-headed snake demon, and I'll let them refine gold and silver for me in the 6 Taoist Pagoda day and night. The gold and silver mountains suddenly gave him an idea. Refining gold and silver was a small matter, and he couldn't always trouble the experts in the ancient mirror. They also needed to cultivate, and so he thought of the black fire monster. Transcendent Power Tier 8. I will break through you. This time, I must reach Transcendent Power Tier 9, and it will be best if I can enter the vast pellet realm in one go. The ambitious Su Fong swallowed another monster pearl, and the energy in his body surged. He also noticed that the aura from the transcendent power around his Qi Si was clearer than before, and he didn't know what it would look like when it formed the divine pattern. This wait lasted for a few months. The realms after the Transcendent Power tier weren't easy to break through, and the most crucial part was the magic power in the divine aperture. Magic power required the continuous cultivation of the body's spirit power, blood chi, and physical body before it could slowly enter the divine aperture and form strands of magic power. Therefore, it was difficult to advance even with abundant spirit power. I can feel it. My magic power and spiritual energy are in a state of fullness. Good breakthrough. Su Fong showed an extremely excited smile. He performed the 100 acupoints finger art to seal all the blood vessels in his body. Then he stimulated his body, blood chi, and spiritual power. When they reached the peak, he unsealed the acupoints. Boom, the power of shattering gushed out, and his body seemed to be torn into pieces, piece by piece, and the impurities in his placenta kept flowing out. 8 levels of divine power. There were 8 layers of nothingness aura surging within the force. Finally, after half a year, he advanced from level 7 to level 8 of the God Art. I didn't become an adopted son for nothing. I got 2 magical artifacts from King Yu, as well as so many immortal pills and spiritual items. It's just enough to help me step into the vast core realm. Su Fong took a few more immortal pills and even took out a stalk of snow lotus. This was a truly rare item that contained natural purification and nirvana. Snow lotus with ability. They were all obtained from King Yu. King Yu schemed to take Su Fong as his adopted son. He planned for decades, arranged for Zhao Ziba, and married the 3rd princess. In the end, when the emperor had no experts to protect him, when the emperor was at his most relaxed, he used Su Fong to kill the emperor. But Su Fong didn't let King Yu go. He killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only did he kill the emperor, he also purposely threw out the rags of King Yu's inner guards, so that the emperor would know that it was King Yu's doing before he died. Until now, King Yu still didn't understand why his plan didn't succeed and why it was completely destroyed by Su Fong. Su Fong even purposely let King Lang know about this, so that he could ruin King Yu's plan. Otherwise, King Yu would have occupied the palace. 1 year later, the Chateau spirit had come back and forth a few times. Every time he returned, he would be able to collect a lot of gold and silver from the buried cities under the desert. According to the Chateau spirit, he was not fighting alone. He had a group of minions working for him. Not only was there gold and silver, there were also more than 30 flying swords that were dug out from under the desert. In his mind, a voice sounded, "Master, Xian Huang is almost done." Hearing this, Su Fang was even more happy. Once Xian Huang, Six Paths Pagoda, absorbed the Red Palm volcano, it would definitely be amazing. A few months later, just as Su Fang was about to reach stage 8 perfection, Xian Huang's Six Paths Pagoda flew over from the Red Palm volcano. In an instant, it was 100 times faster than the flying swords and immediately arrived in front of Su Fang. It was as if it had flown through countless mountains and rivers to reach him. Looking at Xian Huang, there were some cracks on its surface. The damaged parts were indeed releasing gold and silver light, but it was still far from being perfectly repaired. Xian Huang saw the mountains of gold and silver in front of it and was very excited. "Master, we got so much gold and silver again." Su Fang said, "It was done by the Shadow Awe spirit. In the future, let the 3 snake spirits refine the gold and silver in the 3 levels of the pagoda. You can also absorb it at any time." The cultivation of the 3 snake spirits is not weak. It's impossible for them to refine a large amount of gold and silver at once, but it's not a big problem for them to keep refining it. In that case, Xian Huang opened the door of the 3rd level of the pagoda and sucked in the gold and silver. Then, it spat out a bright red flame. Su Fang was curious. This is a part of the fire vein under the Red Palm volcano. It's also a spiritual fire. It's the best natural fire-type material to refine fire-type magic treasures, formations, caves, and dojos. Xian Huang introduced, spiritual fire is formed naturally, and after a cultivator fuses with it, there will be fire-type spirit chi in their spiritual power. It will be easier to cultivate fire-type divine arts in the future. Spiritual fire, this is really a good treasure. By the way, ask the 3 snake spirits. They are fire-type monsters, so they will definitely know fire-type divine arts. I need to master a fire-type divine art. The 9-yang true fire could not be cultivated. If he could master a true fire, it would be much easier to refine gold and silver, immortal pills, magic treasures, formations, and runes in the future. Xian Huang had news. "Master, there's news. The 3 snake spirits only know fire-type techniques of the demon race. They don't have any fire-type divine arts related to humans. If Master wants to cultivate demon race divine arts, you must have demon chi. This is not a good thing for Master." Su Fang continued to absorb all kinds of energy. Then, he separated his consciousness and entered the origin sacred realm. Senior. In the Scarlet Space, Su Fang, who had become an 8th-level divine art expert, was still unable to move. The mysterious woman said faintly, "Why are you looking for me?" Junior obtained a spiritual fire and plans to cultivate a true fire. I don't know if Senior has the fire-type divine art, 9-yang true fire. Junior can't cultivate it. There are quite a few fire-type divine arts, but I don't know if there's a cultivation technique suitable for you. As for the 9-yang true fire, it is a supreme existence. It can fuse with any true fire. The mysterious woman no longer spoke. There was no space in the ancient mirror. After a long time, a burst of cold air suddenly gushed over and turned into words, densely burrowing into Su Fang's consciousness. For now, you should focus on cultivating the invincible golden body and the Titan palm. Those 2 are supreme divine arts from the gigantified Vajra body. The fire-type divine art I gave you is not simple. It is called the illusory fire cloud. It contains several techniques that can be used with spiritual fire. After the mysterious woman finished speaking, there was no more sound. Returning to his true self, he fused with the illusory fire cloud in his mind. Just as the mysterious woman had said, this divine art contained the flame cloud steps, the phaseless flame cloud saber, and the flame cloud wings. A divine art that could manifest 3 different forms of energy arts was truly a peerless divine art. Su Fang then communicated with Mysterious Yellow and learned that it was best to fuse the spiritual fire into a certain meridian and then fuse it with the spiritual power in the body. In this way, The body would have a strong spiritual fire, and in the future, the spiritual fire would become stronger and stronger. Whoosh! After forming a hand seal, he absorbed the spiritual fire into his right arm. It just so happened that there was a spirit vein here. This meridian had already formed an energy space where the spiritual fire could exist. Furthermore, Xianwang could help control the spiritual fire. As for the illusory fire cloud, it was too inconceivable. If he wanted to cultivate it, he would have to wait until he reached the vast core realm. Right now, he didn't have any extra magic energy to use it. Whoosh! Xianwang also entered his right arm. Within the spirit vein space, he could clearly sense Xianhuang and the spiritual fire floating separately. The yang qi in his body began to fuse with the spiritual fire. If this continued, Su Fang's body would gradually possess fire-type energy. In the blink of an eye, the state of Zhao should be in chaos. After devouring the last few pearls he had refined from the demons, he used 100 acupoints finger art to control the blood qi and spiritual energy in his body to attack his divine aperture. Every time the divine aperture was filled with pain, but after the impact, it would bring more magic energy to the divine aperture. Bang! This day at noon, Su Fang was absorbing yang qi from the Origins Saint Realm, adding the spiritual fire energy in his body and the power of the snow lotus. His fleshly body was undergoing nirvana, marrow cleansing. Finally, at this moment, his fleshly body had reached the 9th stage from the 8th stage of the divine ability realm. The energy he released swept across the surroundings. If there was a Dharma whole realm expert here, they would be instantly killed. His divine aperture received the impact of all the energy in his body. He quickly ate an immortal pill and absorbed yang qi from the ancient mirror. The 9 yang qi in his body gradually calmed down, and a thick layer of impurities appeared on his skin. A few days later, Su Fang changed his clothes and said goodbye to the Shadawa spirit. He gave him many immortal pills and told him to cultivate well. Only then did he fly back to Zhao on his immortal sword. He was still a few thousand kilometers away from the imperial city of Zhao. Along the way, many cities had been captured by Marquis Jinan and the King of Yu's army. The army was slowly advancing toward Zhao. Many soldiers rode on their mounts and flew back and forth in the sky. A war in the world of cultivators would only result in destruction. Whoosh! A masked man in black appeared on a mountain behind Marquis Jinan's camp. After a few hours, the familiar Dao Wuliang, wearing golden armor, flew over with a smile. It seemed that he had gained a lot of weight in the 3 years. His life in the human world was too good. Dao Wuliang was not surprised when he heard that the black fire monster had been suppressed. He then explained the situation in Zhao. Now, all the feudal lords have rebelled and declared themselves kings. However, Zhao has been cooperating with the other 4 feudal lords, hoping that they can work together to deal with the powerful lords. Some feudal lords might consider it, but Marquis Jinan and the King of Yu are determined to take down Zhao. Su Fang asked curiously, "The Feather Emperor and the Barbarian Lord? The 2 of them are truly powerful. They've been able to overcome many obstacles along the way, and they've also recruited many great overlords. The Feather Emperor has tens of thousands of troops, and they're all elite soldiers. The Barbarian Sovereign is the same. The 2 of them are the great overlords who have advanced the fastest among the rebel factions. Take me to the King of Yu. Then you will stop Marquis Jinan. I will use my strength to take the King of Yu's head. After taking revenge, I will take back my family's treasure. Then I will go to Nanjiang and the wider world. Is it the dark forest or the crimson firmament continent?" Dao Wuliang blurted out 2 worlds that Su Fang had never heard of before. Chapter 100. Dark Forest Crimson Firmament Continent. This was indeed a map of the state of Zhao. Su Fang shook his head, a bit confused. Dao Wuliang suddenly grabbed a map and unfurled it. The southern border, the state of Zhao, is actually a small gourd. Behind it is the Crimson Firmament Continent, which is 100 times bigger than the state of Zhao. The Crimson Firmament Continent and the state of Zhao are in the shape of a gourd. The head of the gourd is on the state of Zhao, while the body behind the gourd is the Crimson Firmament Continent. This map was clearly not the divine map of the state of Zhao, but rather an ancient map that was very similar to the divine map of the various countries. The whole thing really was a large yellow gourd lying on the ground. The mouth of the gourd was 100 times smaller than the body of the gourd. The state of Zhao was at the mouth of the gourd, and the Crimson Firmament Continent was the body of the gourd. The neck of the gourd was a vertical black area. Next to the black area was the southern border. The southern border was also very big. Connected to the dark forest, it was almost half the size of the state of Zhao. Dao Wuliang pointed at the black area. This black area is the dark forest. This place is incredible. Look at the Crimson Firmament Continent. There's so many experts there, and so many powerful sections. But why hasn't anyone crossed the dark forest to establish a power or unify the state of Zhao? Yes, Su Fang also found it strange. The Crimson Firmament Continent was right next to the Crimson Firmament Continent. That was an even more majestic cultivation world. Experts could fly on flying swords from the state of Zhao to the Crimson Firmament Continent. That wasn't much of a distance. Why hadn't any experts from the Crimson Firmament Continent appeared in the state of Zhao? Instead, they allowed the state of Zhao to unify this large country. That's because the dark forest is a forbidden area. It's shrouded in clouds and mist all day long. No one knows what mysteries it has. It's difficult for cultivators to fly on flying swords or cross the dark forest on foot. At the same time, legends say that there are terrifying existences that even the experts of the Crimson Firmament Continent are afraid of. As for the southern border, that's where all kinds of people live. There are also cultivators from the Crimson Firmament Continent who established some sects there. They came to the southern border through the ocean. There are also some empires there that are stronger than the state of Zhao, but they're not large, explained Dao Wuliang. Then I'll have to kill King Yu as soon as possible and fulfill my little wish. Then I'll either cross the dark forest or the ocean to take a look at the Crimson Firmament Continent. There won't be any other world outside the Crimson Firmament Continent. Su Fang pointed at the vast ocean. I've heard from the seniors of my clan that there are cultivators outside of the Crimson Heaven Continent. The world we're in is called the Heavenly Table World, also known as the Mortal World. Speaking of which, that King Yu's strength isn't weak at all. I've been observing him for a while now. Although his cultivation is only at the 9th level of the Vast Core Realm, his strength is close to the peak of the Vast Core Realm. He's only a few steps away from condensing a gold core. This kind of person is already at the peak of the Zhao country. You don't have to worry about that, but your reminder is good. I'm currently at the 9th level of the Transcendent Realm. I need to break through to the 10th level and step into the Vast Core Realm. At that time, I'll have a public battle with King Yu. He used despicable means to kill my father, but I want to take his head openly. Let me think about it. Dao Wuliang was very powerful. His cultivation was probably at the 10th or 9th level of the Vast Core Realm. However, he was Yao. He probably had the strength of a legendary Golden Core expert. Therefore, King Yu was very powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become King Yu. Su Fang suddenly had an idea. Right now, you and I are under the command of Marquis Jinan. Go find Marquis Jinan and King Yu. Tell them that as long as the second head of the Jinshan Gorge reaches the Vast Core Realm, Jinshan Gorge will be willing to fight for them. However, they have to ask for more money, treasures, and benefits. Don't let them take advantage of us. Hee, you said that my fox race is cunning. You're even more cunning. Using your enemies like this is equivalent to them killing themselves in the end. Dao Wuliang was shocked. He suddenly felt that the human in front of him, who he had watched grow up with his own eyes, already had the means to survive in this dangerous world. Dao Wuliang, as long as I kill King Yu, I'll let you live. I, Su Fang, swear to the heavens that if I don't fulfill my promise, I'll die a horrible death. Su Fang pointed his right hand to the sky and shouted, "Deal!" Dao Wuliang's greatest desire was freedom. Since Su Fang had already sworn, he finally believed that Su Fang would let him go. Whoosh! Without saying another word, he flew with Su Fang to the resting area of the Jinshan Gorge. After arranging everything, Dao Wuliang directly went to find Jinan Ho. The next day, Dao Wuliang returned with 3 experts from Jinnanho's side. All of them were at the high level of the vast core realm. They also brought a lot of immortal pills. With the 3 experts helping Su Fong to cleanse his marrow, Jinnanho could be considered to have taken a liking to the Jinshan Gorge. Inside the tent, Dao Wuliang was personally setting up the formation. He was already very powerful, so the formation he set up was different from the Spirit Stone formation from before. As soon as the formation was set up, the 3 experts sat around it. This time, even Dao Wuliang had to personally cleanse Su Fong's marrow. For waves of magic power and spirit power instantly swept through his body. The spirit power rushed into his meridians, flesh, and spirit power directly into his divine aperture. If he wasn't a perfect realm cultivator, he would have already broken through to the 10th level of the transcendent realm. After all, the meridians, flesh, and divine aperture of a perfect realm cultivator were far superior to ordinary people. The 3 experts also noticed that Su Fong was different from ordinary people. Even after absorbing spirit power and spirit power for a long time, he still showed no signs of breaking through. During this time, Su Fong had also swallowed a lot of meridian loosening pills. At least 1 month. From Su Fong's body, there were finally signs of breaking through. He used the 100 acupoints finger technique, and instantly, all the energy exploded out of his body. 10 levels. He had finally reached the peak of the 10th level of the transcendent realm. The next step was the Vastan realm. The 3 experts finally had a chance to rest. They treated Su Fong as a monster. This kid is probably someone who surpassed his level. Once he breaks through to the Vastan realm, his strength will be extraordinary. The experts were exhausted and wanted to take the opportunity to rest. They wanted to leave, but since they were here under orders, they couldn't go back and report. They thought it was a small matter, but who knew that they would meet a monster? His body was like a bottomless pit. Su Fong asked Dao Wuliang to borrow more people, and then 2 more people from Jinnanho. With just these people, he might need 3 months to break through to the Vastan realm. Half a day later, Dao Wuliang returned. And this time, the people who brought him were people Su Fong knew. They were the experts under King Yu, Pulsatilla Wang, and Han Xin. Luckily, he was wearing a mask. Otherwise, if these 2 recognized Su Fong, they would have killed him. King Yu was a shrewd person. How could he have known that Su Fong was raised step by step? He killed the emperor for him, and he wanted to kill Su Fong in return. But in the end, not only did Su Fong survive, he was still using him to break through to the Vastan realm. After secretly communicating with Dao Wuliang, Su Fong was very happy. These 2 have reached the 8th level of the Vastan realm. My chances of breaking through to the Vastan realm are much higher. A new round of enlightenment and purification began. Dao Wuliang said, "Thank you, seniors." Su Fong opened up his body and started to break through to the Vastan realm with all his might. He accepted the 5 experts, Dao Wuliang's energy, enlightenment, and purification. Comfortable, indescribably comfortable. It was rare to get this kind of enlightenment and purification. This was a self-destructive method. Only the talented geniuses cultivated by the seniors of the family could use this method. If it wasn't for Jinnanho's order, these people would never give enlightenment to a stranger. Break through to the Yang Meridian. Su Fong greedily absorbed the energy and spiritual energy. He used the excess energy to perform the 100 acupoints finger technique to break through the meridian he was cultivating. After a long time of breaking through, the blood qi inside the meridian contained pure yang qi. If this continued, the first yang meridian would be born sooner or later. Other than the yang meridian, he also combined his energy with the spiritual fire to cultivate the illusory fire cloud. After cultivating this ability, his spiritual qi would become like a cloud, similar to a burning cloud. After fusing with the spiritual fire, he would be able to control the fire and use it to refine weapons and pills. Days passed. He had no idea how much energy he had absorbed from the 5 experts. 3 months later, Dao Wuyong had a sinister smile on his face as he looked at the 5 experts. Suddenly, he performed the 100 poison technique. A poisonous smoke surrounded the 5 experts when they weren't paying attention. Han Xin was shocked. The poison had already entered his body. Mountain Guardian King, what are you doing? Hee. Dao Wuyong shook his head proudly. Pa within the Spirit Stone array, Su Fong, who was undergoing marrow cleansing, took advantage of the fact that the 100 poison technique had trapped the 5 experts to perform the 100 acupoints finger art, sealing their blood vessels. Watch this, Grandpa Dao. Soul seal. Coordinated from the inside, then Dao Wuyong made a profound hand seal and turned into a yellow shadow. He flashed across the air and sent the hand seal into the 5 warriors' heads. I am not some Jinshan king. I have already sent my hand seal into your divine apertures. If you don't behave, I can break your divine apertures with my hand seal. Dao Wuyong shouted. You dare to betray the Southern Marquis, King Yu. Pulsatilla Wang was furious. He thought that Dao Wuyong was a dog of King Yu. Who knew that a palm would suddenly hit Pulsatilla Wang's head? Blood splattered everywhere, and he became a headless body. Su Fong appeared next to the body and sucked out Pulsatilla Wang's 8-stage vast core realm core. He then looked at Dao Wuyong, who sucked the body into an empty bag. A small figure in the past had now become a powerful expert. Su Fong coldly shouted, Pulsatilla Wang, you still dare to be arrogant. If the 4 of you don't behave, you'll end up the same way. Don't kill us. Han Xin and the other 3 were completely frightened. Watch them. I'm going to go through my tribulation. Su Fong ordered Dao Wuyong. He summoned his flying sword and flew into the sky. Unfortunately, the 4 experts who were supposed to serve King Yu had now fallen into the hands of Dao Wuyong and Su Fong. 2 hours later, in the depths of the mountains, all that's left is Pulsatilla Wang's vast core realm core. From today onwards, I, Su Fong, will be the strongest expert in Zhao country. Activating all the energy in his body, he pointed at his body and used the 100 acupoints finger technique. When he was full, he unsealed his acupoints. Boom! Blood mist rushed out of his body. At the same time, dark clouds appeared in the sky. They came from all directions, and it was getting more and more terrifying. After half an incense stick's time, a rolling tribulation cloud formed in the sky. Thunder and lightning surged, and astral winds howled. The oppressive flames seemed to want to kill the tiny humans below. Vast core realm tribulation. After breaking through to the vast core realm, his chi sea turned into a blood-red ocean. Purple river, this was an existence formed from human chi essence. After fusing with his chi sea, once he passed through the vast core tribulation, the purple river would condense into a core embryo. 222A black light, fused with the power of the tribulation, finally struck down. It was like the power of heaven and earth, and it came from the sword of heaven and earth. It wanted to kill Su Fong. Spirit Snakeblade. Su Fong was full of ambition. He was not afraid of the tribulation at all. With his identity as someone who surpassed his realm, why would he be afraid of the tribulation? He even had a magical weapon. Chi. The spirit snake blade and the black light fiercely attacked each other in the air. The black light formed a strangling force, and it looked like it was going to swallow the spirit snake blade. However, Su Fong released more spiritual energy, and the spirit snake blade burst out countless blade lights like an erupting volcano. P.S. It was released last night, and the subscription to the collection ratio is 3-to-1. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your support. Chapter 101. This was the power of a magical item. Spiritual treasures were only divine weapons. Whether it was the seals or restrictions inside, they were not as good as magical items, and magical items contain magical power. A large amount of blade light exploded, shattering the black light of the tribulation into pieces. The blade light was like a giant hand, trying to tear a big hole in the sky. There were not many who could resist the tribulation with such strength. The blade light faded away, and the black light disappeared as well. At this moment, the remaining light of the heavenly tribulation shrouded Su Fang's surroundings. He suddenly felt that the purple river that appeared when he broke through to the vast core realm had suddenly absorbed the mysterious power of the remaining light of the heavenly tribulation and was now surging violently. Furthermore, after the purple river surged, it seemed to fiercely extract magic power, spiritual power, yang energy, and blood energy from all over his body. A ball of purple river took the opportunity to transform into a crimson bead the size of a grape. Core embryo, this was the power of a completely different cultivation after entering the vast core realm. The core embryo was the same as the sea of chi. They were both sources of energy, but the sea of chi would disappear when it left the body. The core embryo would not, at least not in a short period of time. The sea of chi was like a barrier that guarded the dantian and protected the spiritual power. On the other hand, the core embryo was the condensation of magical power, blood chi, life chi, spiritual power, and the power of the cultivation technique. In the future, the core embryo would evolve into the legendary golden core. Once the golden core was formed, the body would be indestructible, and the magical power would be endless. Without the dantian, the golden core would never be formed. At this time, the dark clouds of the tribulation had all dispersed, and the sun shone down on his body. He felt like he could directly absorb the yang qi from heaven and earth. With the dantian, the spiritual power in his body had also changed. The 9 yang qi was too violent, and it flowed through his meridians like lightning. Each of his meridians had also become much stronger. Even a meridian that was cultivating the yang meridian had undergone a shocking change. It began to automatically condense yang qi, even without yang qi. This meant that soon, his first yang meridian would be formed. Not only did he have a core embryo and break through to the vast core realm, Su Fang could now clearly sense and control the spiritual treasure in his right arm. The spiritual meridian of the Dharma treasure was deeply integrated with the largest meridian in his right arm. It was like a purple galaxy. The Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda and the spiritual fire were also floating in it. The spiritual meridian of the Dharma treasure contained the qi of Xianwang. Some Dharma seals and the qi of gold and silver also seeped into the meridian. The Dharma treasure, spirit meridian, had become another energy space outside the dantian. At this moment, his physical body was beginning to disintegrate. The power of advancement started to impact the divine aperture again, and magic power gathered. Su Fang realized that he could control a part of the divine aperture at this moment. This way, he could control most of the magic power inside. Channel activating pill spiritual objects, Su Fang was not stingy. He swallowed them one after another and took out the primordial chaos sacred realm. He absorbed the yang qi and the cold yin qi released by the mysterious woman. The pill embryo is like a pill. While he was inspecting the core embryo, he thought of the pulsatilla Wang's core embryo. It was an 8th level vast core realm core embryo. He immediately swallowed the core embryo regardless of how much spirit power it contained. This time, he did not deliberately suppress the core embryo. Instead, he let the core embryo's power explode and impact his body. Just as he expected, after entering the vast core realm, his physical body, meridian, and flesh were strong enough to withstand the impact of the core embryo. When he was in the transcendent realm, the explosive power of the core embryo was enough to tear his body apart. After swallowing the core embryo, the spirit power quickly swept through his entire body. It also impacted the divine aperture, going from the minor cycle to the major cycle. He then checked the core embryo in his dantian. It was a crimson red pill. When he first saw the core embryo, other than the familiar yang qi, there was also a mysterious qi mark on the core embryo. From the qi on it, he was sure that it was the mark left on the core embryo by cultivating the giant diamond body. Other than this qi mark, there was also a fiery cloud mark. It was very weak and should be the mark left by cultivating the illusory fire cloud. Sure enough, Cultivating a transcendent art would leave a mark. 1 month later. At this time, his right arm was flickering with a faint purple light. Su Fong was checking on the mysterious yellow and the spirit fire. The mysterious yellow said, "Master, the mysterious yellow has recovered a little. In the future, you can absorb the important treasures into the mysterious yellow and let it guard it." "That's good. I'll store the ordinary items in the empty bag. I'll leave the important treasures to you in the future." Su Fong's eyes seemed to have entered the third layer of the mysterious yellow. From the window, he saw that the black fire monster and the other two snake spirits were too pitiful. They were too obedient. They kept spitting fire to refine the gold and silver chi, and the gold and silver chi was slowly absorbed by the mysterious yellow. As a result, the mysterious yellow's strength was recovering. He then released his consciousness and smoothly entered the ancient mirror. However, this time, he called out to the mysterious woman, but she did not respond. Perhaps she was cultivating. "Let's go." He finally reached the normal strength of a vast core realm first level. He called out his flying sword and immediately flew towards the army of Jinan Ho. After a while, he returned to the Jinshan Gorge camp. Congratulations. When Dao Wuyang saw the great change in Su Fong's aura, he knew that Su Fong had become a vast core realm cultivator. He was already an expert in this land, adding on all kinds of methods and treasures. Even Dao Wuyang did not know how strong Su Fong was now. Su Fong called Han Xian in front of him. He was still wearing the mask, so Han Xian could not recognize Su Fong's identity. "How many experts does King Yu have?" "Pound and Shui Wujian." Han Xian replied honestly. "His Highness has more than a dozen vast core realm 7th level to 9th level vast core realm experts. There are also dozens of vast core realm 6th level vast core realm experts. Each of them has their own methods." "Han Xian, do you know that 20 years ago, either your King's Mansion's envoy or King Yu personally went to Tianmen Province or Qingchuan Valley?" "Let me think about it." The latter was silent, but he was also very anxious. He was afraid that he would end up like Pulsatilla when, now that I think about it, about 30 years ago, His Highness and young master went to Tianmen Province and Great Jade Mountain. I heard that His Highness went to see the Emperor of Feathers, but only young master and His Highness know about it. Everyone else knows the details. Zhao Ziba also went, but he denied it. Looks like he was really guarding against me. So Zhao Ziba also went there. Now that he was certain it was King Yu who had killed his father, he looked at the other three with an intimidating aura. "Right now, your lives are in my hands. Whatever I tell you to do, if you don't obey, you'll end up like Pulsatilla. I won't show mercy to my enemies. Han Xian, take us to see King Yu." Han Xian was trembling in fear. So what if they were experts? Their lives were in someone else's hands. The 6 of them left the camp and gradually approached Marquis Jinan's camp. Next to them was King Yu's camp. It could be seen that King Yu had too many soldiers. There were probably tens of thousands of them, and they were all cultivators. This kind of strength originated from Heaven Gate. At this time, they were surrounded by thousands of soldiers. Han Xian and the other experts were a bit flustered. They had no idea what was going to happen next. Dao Wuyang and Su Fong were calm and composed. Even in King Yu's camp, they were still very strong. Su Fong secretly transmitted, "Old fox, kill King Yu today and you'll be free." Dao Wuyang's eyes flashed. "Hee, killing King Yu is also good. Today, I will devour a lot of essence to help condense my gold core. Once I do, I will be able to go anywhere. I will even go to the dark forest. My Highness, mountain-subduing king requests an audience." King Yu was in the tent with Pound, Shui Wujian, and 2 black-robed old men. They seemed to be discussing something important. When Han Xian came in, they also came down. Mountain-subduing king. King Yu is still very domineering. If this person is willing to do his best for this king, it's worth recruiting him. Let him in. Han Xian immediately invited Dao Wuyang and Su Fong into the tent. Their gazes met, and Su Fong stared at King Yu. He felt uneasy and did not bow. Instead, he shouted coldly, "I can finally stand in front of you with my head held high. Who are you?" Jinshan Gorge's second boss? King Yu still didn't know who this masked person was. Second boss. Open your eyes and see who I am. Su Fong retorted with ridicule. He immediately took off his mask and revealed his true appearance. Su Fong. King Yu was shocked. Young master. Pound, Shui Wujian, Han Xian, and the others couldn't believe it. How did the second boss of Jinshan Gorge become the Su Fong they knew? My son, it's great that you're not dead. I've always been thinking about you and worried about you. King Yu's face was full of kindness. Su Fong was indifferent. King Yu, don't play tricks in front of me. What do you mean you took me in as your foster son to assassinate the emperor for you? You let Soulless and so many assassins cooperate with me to kill the emperor, but you set up an ambush in the secret passage to kill us. We killed the emperor for you, but you want to kill us? Pound was furious. How dare you talk to his highness like that? Who do you think you are? You're just a dog by his side. Su Fong glanced at Pound. You think he treats you as his confidant? He's just using you. When you're no longer useful, he'll abandon you just like Soulless and kill you. King Yu revealed his true face. This king's foster son isn't simple. At this time, Su Fong and King Yu's eyes exploded with a different aura. King Yu, you've miscalculated from the beginning. Is that so? King Yu didn't understand. He was the instigator of all this. You made a few big mistakes. First, I, Su Fong, came here from Tianmen province and entered King Yu's residence. I'm willing to work for you. In fact, I've always followed the plan and approached you step by step. That time at the palace tower, I've already sensed that you wanted to frame King Ming and King Lang. That's why I rushed out to block the sword for you. As I expected, not only did I become one of your men, but I also became your foster son. Su Fong said in front of shocked faces. Nominally, I'm your foster son. In fact, I knew you wanted me to do something earth-shattering. I beat you at your own game and used your benefits. Step by step, I cleansed my marrow and enlightened my head. I became an expert with remarkable abilities and finally sneaked into the palace to assassinate the emperor for you. When he said all this, other than Dao Wuliang, who wouldn't be shocked, King Yu pondered for a moment. Su Fong, you've said so much as if you're very smart. You played this king like a fool. Unfortunately, don't forget that in the end, you followed this king's plan and killed that old emperor. That's because I set up a boxing glove for you. King Yu, don't you understand why your plan failed? Even if the emperor is dead, why didn't you work with Zhao Ziba to attack the palace while the emperor was dead? According to the plan, you should already be in control of Zhao country's palace. Could it be you? How could it not be me? Seeing King Yu's anger and surprise, Su Fong was in a good mood. I beat you at your own game. Don't you understand? Because Zhao country is my enemy. Killing the emperor was also my idea. You pushed the boat with the current, and I killed the emperor. Then, I purposely let people know that the assassin was sent by you and told King Lang about your plan. Because King Lang wanted to make use of me, he ended up being used by me. I made him destroy your plan and set up an ambush for you. That's why you didn't succeed. P.S. Updated at 8 a.m., 13 p.m., and 17 p.m. 3 chapters a day, 10,000 words a day. Chapter 102. Child, you're spouting nonsense. How could Shui Wujin believe that Su Fong could do such a heaven-defying thing? Even the two current grand princes were used by him. More importantly, he even killed the current emperor. How could Su Fong do such a thing? Therefore, other than Dao Wuliang, everyone here took his words as a joke. In that case, this king really took in a good son. King Yu snorted. Even if it's as you said, now that you've delivered yourself to our door, is it still your plan? Your plan is to seek death. This king thinks highly of you, so he took you in as his adopted son. Why do you want to rebel against this king? Of course, it's also a plan. Su Fong said firmly, nearly 30 years ago, you went to Tianmen province and Qingchuan Valley, where you killed many cultivators from Tianmen province. Yes, King Yu nodded. Tianmen province sent a group of people to escort you to Qingchuan Valley. King Yu said calmly, this king went to Tianmen province back then, and only Tianmen's sage emperor knew about it. In order to not arouse suspicion, Tiaman's sage emperor sent his subordinates to hide this king in Ba'r. After going to Qingchuan Valley, this king secretly met with the Emperor of Feathers and other grand lords. Later, worried that someone would leak the news, this king personally ordered Tiaman's sage emperor to silence those people. A small number of people died under this king's power. These are all things in the past. Before this king left the palace, it might have been a secret, but now it's no longer a secret. Su Fong was furious, and blood was about to gush out from his eyes. That's right. My father was summoned by Tianmen province back then to Qingchuan Valley, but he was murdered by you guys. Even now, his corpse can't be identified. King, you disapproved and was very cold. So you came from Tianmen province to Zhao to avenge your father and hid by this king's side. Even if this king is your father's enemy, this king has killed many people these years. In fact, he doesn't know who your father is. I might as well admit it, because today you're going to die here. Su Fong's eyes unexpectedly shed tears of blood. He hated King used disregard for life. The person who held the falling moon blade is my father. Where are his bones? Oh, I do have a bit of an impression now. There was indeed a cultivator who had just broken through to the flesh embryo realm. When I killed him, I saw the falling moon blade in his hand and had my subordinates take it back. However, the falling moon blade was taken back, but that person fell into a strange cave. So I'm afraid you'll never be able to fulfill your wish of finding your father's remains. Men, no matter what, we have to take the heads of the mountain, vanquishing King and that traitor today. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The tent was lifted and turned to dust in midair. In an instant, dozens of vast core realm experts surrounded them. Some of them were men in black, while others were armored. They were surrounded by profound core realm, transcendent realm, and vast core realm experts. They quickly surrounded Dao Wuliang, Su Fong, and Han Xian. Su Fong wiped the tears of blood from his face and shouted, "Coming here was part of my plan. Today, I'll take your head." "Ha, little brat, you don't know what you're talking about." King Yu was under the protection of Pound and the others. He didn't think there would be any danger today. "Dao Wuliang, let's start a massacre today." Su Fong nodded at Dao Wuliang. He didn't say another word. With only the thought of killing his enemy, he strode towards King Yu. Shui Wujian ordered dozens of experts to stand in front of him. "Protect his highness. Strength of 100 horses." He didn't use any spells or divine abilities. His body had reached the perfect realm, and his body spread out like a giant eagle. When he punched out, a wave of divine power collided with the divine weapons of many soldiers in front of him. Boom! This one punch had opened the curtains to a bloody battle. Su Fong's perfect divine power shattered the aura of the various divine weapons. After all, Su Fong's opponents were all divinity realm experts, and there were quite a few of them. "King, this kid isn't weak. You have to be careful." Pound immediately bowed to King Yu. King Yu clasped his hands behind his back. His physical body isn't simple. Didn't he fuse with his demon chi? A bit of skill doesn't mean anything. This king isn't afraid of him. 100 poisons smoke. Behind them, a large number of soldiers were also charging forward. Dao Wuliang was going all out today, using the 100 poisons technique. All sorts of terrifying poisons floated in the air. Anyone who came into contact with a poisonous smoke would either be sent flying or hit by the poisons. Furthermore, the smoke spread further and further. Those soldiers and experts didn't dare to rashly approach. This was a legendary poison art from the southern wastelands. Han Xian and the others were also given a fright. They hadn't expected King Jinshan's strength to be so terrifying. They weren't even on the same level. Pound said, "Damn it, King Yu is an expert from the southern wastelands. His 100 poisons art isn't easy to deal with. Why don't you go to Marquis Jinnan's camp first?" "All right, let's go." King Yu was feeling a bit uncertain this time. "Where do you think you're going?" Su Fong was currently exchanging blows with the dozens of soldiers in front of him. His crossbows and spears were all very powerful. The moment he saw King Yu retreating, Su Fong immediately burst forth with his divine arts. First, he executed the indestructible golden body before activating the Herculean divine palm. As he used the Titan palm, a golden light suddenly flashed in the sky. A huge palm appeared out of nowhere and pressed down on the soldiers, instantly turning them into meat paste. Su Fong was like a golden man. He flashed past the screaming soldiers and charged toward King Yu, Dao Wuyong's killing intent sword. He was constantly paying attention to Su Fong's movements. What kind of divine ability is that? Stop him. Several vast core experts blocked King Yu's path under Pound's orders. You're courting death. Su Fong activated his immortal golden body and turned into a golden man. As he formed a seal, he combined it with the power of his perfect realm physical body. A Herculean god's palm quickly formed and slapped towards the few vast core realm warriors like he was swatting flies. These were all men in black. Their cultivations ranged from the 5th to the 7th stage of the vast core realm. They were all ruthless people. They weren't afraid of a small figure like Su Fong at all. They simultaneously used their divine abilities to shatter the Titan palm. However, the Titan palm was still extremely powerful. It was a deity-grade divine ability. Although Su Fong's cultivation was very low, his method of forming it was different. Furthermore, he used Yang Qi as his main source of energy. Xiao the men in black activated their magical artifacts again. This time, the Titan palm couldn't withstand the attacks and was shattered by a few magical artifacts. Su Fong became the prey that was surrounded and attacked by the men in black. Dragon Snake Tornado with a wave of his hands. 2 strange Xian Guang tornadoes shook the magical artifacts away, with these experts acting as shields for King Yu. Time was running out. Facing the incoming magical artifacts, Su Fong suddenly activated his right hand, and a purple light exploded. Buzz the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda appeared. Dang, as soon as the king-grade magical artifact appeared, it shook the surrounding low-grade magical artifacts away, forcing them to retreat. Chi the spirit snake blade was like a ghost. As Su Fong flashed past, it chopped off the head of an expert. Su Fong grabbed the headless body and sucked the core out of it. Su Fong controlled the spirit snake blade and activated the Xianwang 6 Paths Pagoda to protect himself. From the looks of it, he was determined to kill King Yu no matter what. King Yu, where do you think you're going? With a roar, he immediately swallowed the core. A wave of arrows flew toward him. Su Fong didn't dodge at all. He directly used his invincible golden body to block the arrows, shattering them into dust. The experts behind him were frightened. They had never seen such a ferocious person before. However, they still had to protect King Yu, so no matter how scared they were, they still had to chase after him. Poison gas. The experts had only just charged forward when terrifying poisonous creatures appeared in front of them. There were spiders, insects, scorpions, wolves, and snakes everywhere. Dao Wuyong, thank you. Dao Wuyong was truly powerful. For Su Fong, he was able to hold back hundreds of King Yu's experts. Whether it was the black-robed men or the soldiers, they were all trapped by his 100 poison arts. King Yu suddenly stopped and stared at Pound and Xue Wujian. He domineeringly turned around and looked at the red-eyed Su Fong. Do you think the 3 of us can't kill him? Yes, the 3 of them were peerless experts. Pound said, King, that kid's pagoda is very troublesome. King Yu was unable to restrain his fury. That seems to be a high-grade enchanted item, and it's damaged. With our cultivation bases, Su Fong also has enchanted items. This king has fought countless battles in his youth. Do you think he's afraid of a brat? King Yu. Su Fong grasped the spirit serpent saber, and the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda floated above his head. The enmity of killing my father is absolutely irreconcilable. Moreover, my family Su is a descendant of the Violet Fortune Kingdom's imperial family. Your kingdom of Zhao destroyed my Violet Fortune Kingdom. Today, we will settle our old and new debts together. The Violet Fortune Kingdom's imperial family is good. This king will also eliminate the weeds by the roots. King Yu, Pound, and Xue Wujian urged their auras together. Bang! A 3-meter-long black whip appeared in King Yu's hand. There were many small thorns on it. With a shake of his hand, the whip was like a viper, lashing out at Su Fong. Xianhuang promptly warned, "Master, this is a mid-grade enchanted item. It can already be considered a treasure." Swoosh! Su Fong dodged and then urged his vigor palm. The aura of a first-stage vast core realm expert exploded out, reaching the 7th or 8th stage of the vast core realm. A vigor palm smashed towards King Yu. Another 2 vigor palms appeared. Su Fong grabbed with his arms, and the 2 vigor palms slammed towards Pound and Shui Wujian. Boom! Boom! The 3 experts more or less knew that Su Fong was a cultivator of a higher realm, so they didn't dare to underestimate him. Activating their magic tools, they shattered the Herculean palms one after another. At the same time, the force generated by the Herculean palms forced the 3 of them back several steps. The 3 of them were shocked. King Yu shook his head, as if he had never seen Su Fong before. How is this possible? A first-stage vast core realm expert? Where did this strength come from? Dragon snake coils, but he didn't care about the 3 of them. He took advantage of this opportunity to send out more dragon snake coils. Storms swirled around them, and all kinds of storms shot towards the 3 of them. King Yu also used his divine abilities. Sword Chi whistled out, cutting apart the dragon snake coils, or cutting them apart. Pound and Shui Wujian also treated Su Fong as a great enemy. They used all kinds of divine abilities to suppress the dragon snake coils. However, even more dragon snake coils continued to attack from the surroundings. It was like Su Fong's spiritual energy was inexhaustible. Vigor Palm at this time, close-range attacks couldn't be used. They could only use divine abilities to fight divine abilities. Su Fong knew that his advantage was his abundant spiritual energy. He didn't care about the price he had to pay. He repeatedly urged the Vigor Palm and Dragon Snake Coils to kill them all at once. Whoosh! The Spirit Snake Saber saw an opportunity and suddenly launched a sneak attack at King Yu. King Yu naturally wasn't simple. He waved his whip, and when the whip curled up, it formed a whirlpool that intercepted the Spirit Snake Saber. The 2 enchanted items also began to fight. Bang! Divine abilities against divine abilities. Enchanted items against enchanted items. Spirit Snake Saber against enchanted items. And the Spirit Snake Saber and the whip clashed. Wave after wave of attacks rang out. King Yu, I'll definitely take your head today. One person contending against the 3 great experts of the world. With a loud roar, Su Fong actually had the upper hand. At the same time, the 3rd door of the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda opened. Master! The black fire monster and the 2 snake spirits flew out. No wonder Su Fong was so confident. He still had some tricks he hadn't used yet. He ordered the 3 snake spirits spray out poisonous gas and surround the 3 of them in this space. P.S. In the future, brothers, remember to leave the red tickets for Jiuzhen every month. Let Jiuzhen reach the top of the red ticket list. Chapter 103. Chi, they were all big goblins that had reached the vast core realm. The Black Flame Monster and the other 2 snake demons had been sucked into the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and tamed by Xianhuang. Su Fong had naturally become their master. The 3 serpents spat out streams of poisonous gas, venom, and mist in the air. The snake demons' cultivation bases were profound, and they were fast. Their poisonous gas was also something that humans feared the most. In an instant, the poisonous gas formed a 100-meter wide space that surrounded King Yu, Pound, and Shui Wujian. Su Fong then ordered the Black Flame Monster. Use your enchanted artifacts to attack them. Don't let a single one of them escape. The Black Flame Monster spat out enchanted artifacts, while the snake demons spat out fire and poison. They even controlled their enchanted artifacts, making Su Fong's advantage even more obvious. My lord, that little bastard has an enchanted treasure that can suppress the big goblin. They have the advantage in numbers. Shui Wujian was the first to feel afraid. Of course, Pound was also surprised that Su Fong had such a method, but he didn't dare to say it. He was even more afraid of King Yu. At this moment, King Yu finally understood what Su Fong had said earlier. He had killed the emperor. He He had almost seized control of the imperial palace. His plan had almost been perfect. Before, he hadn't believed that it was Su Fong who had ruined everything. But now he was convinced. King Yu flew into a rage. The current king couldn't even deal with a mountain brat. What are you afraid of? Marquis Jinan will come to our aid. Hold on. Yes. He braced himself and controlled his enchanted treasure. He had to hold on. Pound and Shui Wujian had no other choice. I'll help you. They had already been fighting for half an incense stick's worth of time. Su Fong had won one victory after another. They had slaughtered their way into the enemy's army. Unexpectedly, they still had the advantage. But they were still in the enemy's army. The longer this battle dragged on, the worse it would be for Su Fong. Dao Wuliang was controlling the 100 poison art from the back. He was still in his human form, which meant he hadn't used his full strength. But even so, the 100 poison art's poisonous creatures were still killing the soldiers. No matter what, Su Fong wanted to avenge his father's death. The poison gas is blocking the three of them. As long as we have some time, we will definitely be able to kill them. Even if Dao Wuliang couldn't help him, with the Black Fire Monster and the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, he was confident that he could kill King Yu. If it weren't for the fact that he was a grand prince with many tricks up his sleeves, he would have been covered by the poisonous gas and died at the hands of Su Fong. Pound and Shui Wujian were also peerless experts. Save His Highness. After an hour, King Yu's army also arrived. They were all Dharma Insight Realm cultivators, led by Transcendent Realm cultivators. More than 1,000 of them attacked first. When the leaders saw how powerful Su Fong and the Black Fire Monsters were, they immediately came up with a solution. Don't get close to them. First, use the formation to create an opening. Boom! Unexpectedly, the army rolled out 10 cannons. The cannon was more than 15 meters long. It was like a flying lion, and the mouth of the cannon was the lion's open mouth. Tianshi Divine Cannon Team Zhao's strongest military treasure was not an ordinary cannon, but a spirit treasure. It was the Tianshi Divine Cannon that was specially made for the army. Even before the cannon was fired, when the soldiers pushed it out, it already emitted a soul-stirring destructive power. It was more than 15 meters long, and the mouth of the cannon was only the size of a bowl. There was a special group of soldiers in charge of activating the Tianshi Divine Cannon. The cannon suddenly burst into flames, like a volcano about to erupt. Su Fong had the Black Fire Monster come to the back, spray poison, and block the line of sight. The Black Fire Monster understood what Su Fong was trying to do. The Tianshi Divine Cannon's power was terrifying. If they really were to be bombarded by it, even a vast core realm cultivator would be helpless. Now, they could only release the poisonous gas to block the air and prevent the cannons from firing. They might even kill King Yu. Boom! Boom! At this moment, the Heavenly Lion Divine military cannon shot out with lightning speed. The cannon fire covered the daytime, and balls of energy rolled over. The three snake spirits and Su Fong immediately dodged. The energy cannon hit the poisonous gas space in front of them, as well as the surrounding area. In an instant, it was as if the sky and earth had been turned upside down. The explosions were like mushroom clouds. Wave after wave of explosions swept out, destroying everything. It was unknown how King Yu, Pound, and Shui Wujian were inside the poisonous gas. In short, Su Fong and the Black Fire Monster had dodged ahead of time. The power of the cannon fire dispersed the fog, but the surrounding area was filled with dust. It was impossible to see who was inside. Kill! Su Fong led the snake spirits to the front. Sure enough, he saw Pound and Shui Wujian protecting King Yu as they retreated. When the three of them saw Su Fong, they trembled in fear. Master, in at most 2 breaths' time, they would have a chance to kill King Yu. However, the Black Fire Monster and the other 2 snake spirits suddenly began to feel extreme pain. Su Fong had no choice but to stop. As the snake spirits looked up at the sky, he saw that the entire sky had turned from day to night in a short period of time. He could vaguely see cracks formed by the sunlight. The sky instantly turned dark. Looking at the surrounding land, it had also turned dark. They could no longer see the army, the experts, or the mountains. The black fire monster and the other two snake spirits trembled as they fearfully looked at the sky. Master, there's an indescribable viciousness coming from the sky. It's making us unable to control the energy in our bodies. Su Fang once more examined the dark world. Suddenly, a ray of light separated from the center of the world. It was the sun's dazzling golden light. It scattered. However, at the same time as this golden light descended, a strange dark red halo also descended and scattered across the world. The ground regained some light. King Yu forgot to flee, and the soldiers forgot to attack. Everyone was staring at the rapidly fading darkness in the sky. But Su Fang was focused on revenge. He was looking for King Yu's location. There are actually 3 suns. A large number of shocked cries came from the surroundings. Su Fang also looked at the sky. Indeed, a 3rd sun had appeared beside the previous 2. The 3rd sun. It was exactly the same as the 2nd sun. It was dark red, as if it was condensed from dark blood. It also looked like the sky had just fallen asleep and suddenly awakened, leaving behind black blood. The blood solidified, leaving behind 2 dark red suns. These 2 suns, one on the left and one on the right, hugged the divine suns born from heaven and earth. The sunlight they released was no longer rainbow-colored. There was a hint of blood in the rainbow. Su Fang's mind was blank. Why did a 3rd sun suddenly appear in the sky? What he did not expect was that the black fire monster and the other 2 snake spirits looked at the 3 suns in the sky. There were only 2 dark red suns in their eyes. The demonic chi in their bodies was out of control. It was obvious that the energy in their bodies was going berserk. What's going on? The black fire monster and the others seemed to be possessed. Su Fang did not notice anything wrong with them. Save us! Han Xin and the other 3 experts were begging for mercy. When Su Fang turned around, he saw that even Dao Wuliang was staring blankly at the sky. His eyes were also filled with the 2 blood-red suns. Massive amounts of demonic chi poured out of him. If he didn't control it, all of his energy would flow out of his body, and his cultivation base would be wasted. Han Xin and the others were already under Dao Wuliang's control and protection. Now that Dao Wuliang could not control his energy, the 100 Poisons art released by him also lost control of a large number of poisonous creatures and attacked Han Xin and the others. If this continued, the 4 of them would die. King Yu. Should he continue to chase after King Yu or save them? Su Fang could no longer see King Yu. He reluctantly turned around and flew in front of Dao Wuliang. He directly released the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda and sucked him into the pagoda. Chi just as he was about to leave, he wanted to suck the black fire monster and the other big goblin into the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda as well. When he saw them, they burned with demonic flames and turned into their human forms. They dragged their huge demonic bodies and attacked King Yu's troops. Let's leave this place first, Su Fang shouted. He, Han Xin, and the others stepped on their flying swords. Taking advantage of the appearance of the 3rd sun and the change in the world, they escaped into the sky from the panicking troops. Even if someone saw them, no one dared to chase after them, especially when the 3 snakes had turned into their human forms. They were invincible. They would swallow anyone they saw alive. Once they were deep in the mountains, the 5 of them continued to fly. Su Fang was curious. He looked at the 3 suns in the sky and could not understand why there would be such an anomaly. It seemed that the suns could control the monsters and make them lose their consciousness and enter a state of frenzy. But it did not affect humans. He just felt that the temperature outside had increased. With that thought in mind, Su Fang called out in his mind, Xianhuang, do you know why there's so many suns in the sky? Xianhuang quickly replied, I don't know. I've never heard of such a phenomenon before, but it can make demons lose their minds. This phenomenon will definitely bring changes to the world. Just how many demons will lose their minds like the 3 snake demons? They will run around the world, killing each other and attacking humans? Roar! Roar! Suddenly, in the forest in front of them, Giant trees were uprooted or cut in half. Dozens of monsters were destroying the forest, and more monsters appeared around them. Only then did they realize that they were surrounded by monsters. Han Xin was so scared that he no longer had the demeanor of an expert. "We are doomed. We are doomed today. You're also an expert. What are you afraid of? Come with me." Su Fong stepped on his flying sword and flew toward the big goblin. Han Xin and the others hesitated for a moment. But when they remembered that their souls were controlled by Dao Wuyong, they forced themselves to follow him. "You're looking for death." Su Fong suddenly took out his origin saint and asked Han Xin and the others to stay at a lower altitude. He flew hundreds of meters high and attracted the attention of the monsters. A large number of monsters appeared around Su Fong. They stomped on the ground and unleashed their monster aura, wanting to tear Su Fong apart. "You are the nightmare of other cultivators. But to me, you are a great opportunity." He was still thinking about how to reach the high level of the vast core realm as soon as possible, and then become a powerful expert with his absolute strength. He did not expect that a large number of monsters would take the initiative to send themselves to him. Looking at these monsters, they were indeed like the three snake spirits. They seemed to have gone mad and had no consciousness. If they were not killing each other, they would be searching for other life forms to eat all of them. Buzz! The origin saint shone, and a red light shrouded one of the monsters. With a sizzling sound, that huge monster was instantly turned into flames under the 9 Yang true fire, and only a Yang Qi pearl appeared on the surface of the mirror. Next, the other monsters met the same fate. They were all burned to death. Moreover, these monsters had already gone berserk. They did not have a will, and they were not afraid of anything. If they continued to act so recklessly, they would eventually enter the mortal world. How could existences like Tianzong City resist these big goblin? Therefore, killing these monsters now was equivalent to saving countless humans. What happened? That red light and flames came out of his body. He can burn a monster in a few breaths. Terrifying. Where did he get such strength? Han Xin and the other 3 watched from below as the demons gradually disappeared under the burning flames. They were all confused, but Su Fong was also shocked by what they saw. The more monsters there are, the better. With these Yang Qi pearls, I can still break through in the vast core realm. The next time I meet King Yu, it will be his death. Soon, he obtained more than 20 pearls and met up with Han Xin and the others. Suddenly, he thought of his family hidden deep in the mountains and immediately rushed to Tianzong City. Chapter 104. The 5 masters stepped on their flying swords and flew through the night. They crossed thousands of mountains and rivers, passed by the Wanyuan River, and saw the Purple Cloud Mountain at dawn. Along the way, they saw too many monsters wreaking havoc everywhere. When they left the central territory of Zhao country, there were fewer powerful monsters. When Su Fong arrived at the valley where the family Su was hiding, he was relieved when he did not see any monsters around. The family Su people seemed to have noticed the abnormality and sent many people to patrol the area. "Uncle," when the 5 of them appeared, the family Su people gathered in the valley. Su Tung and Su Junya knew about the monsters' rampage. No wonder there were monsters everywhere in the deep mountains. If it were not for the large number of spiritual treasures, the family Su people would have been eaten by the monsters. Su Yin, Su Yi, Su Xiaolong, and the other young talents also left Tianmen province a year ago to stay with the family Su. Although the family Su people were few, they were mostly cultivators. In the cave, Su Fong asked Xin Wang to let Dao Wuyong out of the pagoda. The old fox looked dispirited as soon as he appeared. Su Fong was very curious. "Why did you and the black fire monster lose your mind when you saw the 3rd son?" Dao Wuyong shuddered in fear. "I don't know what happened either. The light that was projected down from the sky contained an unfathomable power. Just by looking at it, my consciousness was sucked dry by that power. If you didn't suck me into the Xian Huang 6 Paths Pagoda in time, I would have been in a frenzy as well. I thought you would be able to tell me the reason." Su Fong was somewhat disappointed. But at least this proved one thing. The third sun had risen, and the demonic beasts had gone berserk. Demonic chi had filled the entire country of Zhao, and the demonic beasts were causing trouble. The human race was about to face a calamity of destruction. Countless mortals would die, and only cultivators would be able to survive. Xianhuang, while Dao Wuliang was resting, he secretly released Xianhuang and formed a seal. A blood seal burst out from his eyes. When the blood seal broke, a fox shadow followed by a magic weapon hit Dao Wuliang between his eyebrows. The fox shadow immediately went into Dao Wuliang's mind. Bang! Dao Wuliang was shocked. His monster aura burned. He looked at his body in surprise. Haha, you are a man of your words. Give me back my freedom. This time, if it weren't for the sudden phenomenon, I would have already taken King Yu's head with your help. Although I failed this time, I can still use the ancient mirror and the mysterious yellow mirror to suppress the powerful demon beast for my own use. At that time, King Yu's head will naturally be easy to obtain. Su Fang was full of confidence. Dao Wuliang, you should return to the southern border. My vitality has been greatly damaged. I'll return after a while. I also want to see how the southern border is doing. The greater demon felt helpless. After resting for a few days, Su Fang gathered more than 10 elders of the Su family and told them about the current situation. Tianzong City would be found by the demons sooner or later. It was inevitable that people would be plunged into misery and suffering. If the Su family stayed here, they would be threatened by the demons at any time. Red Palm Volcano last time, they captured the black fire monster and killed the majority of the powerful demon beasts. The other demon beasts were scared away, and the Xianhuang absorbed all of the lava and flames inside the volcano. The inside was a natural cave, a natural dojo. It could hold millions of people. Everyone had no objections. They spent half a day preparing. Su Fang urged the light-gathering cauldron as much as possible, sucking in more than half of the people inside. The rest were controlled by the 6 of them. Each person led a dozen people, and they rode their flying swords away from this mountain. Sure enough, they saw several monsters going berserk outside the mountains. If this continued, Heavenly Sex City would be found by demon beasts sooner or later, and Su Fang was powerless. After more than 10 days of slow flying and stopping, they finally entered the Star Dual Sand Plains. The Star Dual Sand Plains had some Shadowa monsters and poison scorpions going berserk in the desert, but the Shadowa Goblin was fine. It had always been cultivating in the depths. If not for Su Fang summoning it this time, it basically would not have known about the changes in the world. Red Palm Volcano, dense spiritual power, a good place. This truly is an exceptionally good training ground. The flying swords escaped into the volcano, and then they flew into each and every cave. When the family Su people saw such a natural training ground, with spiritual power swirling in the air, everyone was grinning from ear to ear. After choosing their respective cultivation caves, Dao Wuliang led Han Xian and the other experts, beginning to arrange a spirit stone array. Han Xian and the other 3 had no choice but to offer up even more pills to Su Fang. The pills were given to the clansmen for cultivation, and Su Fang only wanted the gold and silver on the 4 people's bodies. He also obtained a large amount of gold and silver from Su Tung, which he absorbed into the dark yellow artifact. Several days later, everything was settled. The family Su people cultivated in different caves inside the volcano. Su Fang called Han Xian and the other 3 over. The 4 of you used to work for the king of you, yet the king of you only made you work for him. Now, my family Su needs your protection. Properly serve my family Su, and in the future, there will be no shortage of benefits for you. Do not play tricks in front of me. Even if Dao Wuliang is not here, I can still suppress you. Furthermore, the kingdom of Zhao is about to be destroyed, and you still want to sync with the kingdom of Zhao? We do not dare. The 4 trembled. Su Fang had the 4 listen to Su Tung in the future to cultivate in this Red Palm volcano. The 4 did not want to leave, for there were demons everywhere outside. Not good. Dao Wuliang suddenly flew over. As soon as he saw Su Fong, he gestured for him to fly out of the volcano with him. He looked at the ground in front of him and saw a black cloud rolling across the land. It was fighting with some violent demons. Su Fong was extremely puzzled. What is that? It's so evil. It's different from demon qi. Dao Wuliang explained. That is demonic qi, the legendary demonic cultivators. It is almost impossible to find demonic cultivators in the kingdom of Zhao. They can only be found in the southern wilderness and the dark forest. And the Crimson Nimbus continent has powerful demonic sections. Why would a demonic cultivator appear here? There are only two explanations. The first is that this demonic cultivator came from the Crimson Nimbus continent. Because of the strange phenomenon, the dark forest is in chaos, and there are demons or other creatures from the Crimson Nimbus continent that pass through the forest. The second is that this demonic cultivator most likely came from some sealed place. He broke the seal and awakened. It seems that he is unable to control his consciousness. Not good. It's coming towards the Red Palm volcano. Su Fong's eyes widened as he looked at the black cloud rolling across the forest. The power of the demonic path is extremely terrifying. Demonic cultivators use demonic arts to confuse their minds. They like to use humans to cultivate and devour them. We have to stop them. Otherwise, who knows how many people in your family, Su, will become their food. Kill. Su Fong and Dao Wuliang stepped on their flying swords and flew into the sky. They stared at the black cloud and sent out several dragons and snakes. Chi-Chi, the demonic black cloud, also attacked at the same time. A black flame suddenly burst out from the black cloud. It was not demonic fire, but it burned the dragons and snakes to ashes. Su Fong was startled. The demonic qi is so scary. Dao Wuliang made his move as well, summoning an army of toxic creatures that pressed down on the forest. Devil energy swirled out, clashing with the toxic energy. Spirit Snake Blade? Since spells were useless, and Su Fong used an artifact, it did not matter what kind of demonic cultivator he was. An artifact was an artifact, no matter if he was a demon or a devil. He had to kill him. Pong! Just as the Spirit Snake Blade slashed into the black cloud, a huge force knocked the Spirit Snake Blade out easily. The demonic cultivator laughed. A vast core realm, a little demon that is about to condense a golden core. How dare you stop me? Dao Wuliang controlled the 100 poison art. The poisonous creatures were also entangled by the demonic qi and black flames. Where did this demon come from? You're definitely not from Zhao. Are you from the southern border, the dark forest, or the Crimson Sky continent? The demon in the cloud was extremely arrogant. Little demon, you know a lot. I am from the dark forest. I've been suppressed there for 5,000 years. Damn it. Yesterday, the heaven and earth vision burned the seal. I finally used 5,000 years of magic power to break the seal. Huh. 5,000 years? Not to mention Su Fong. Even Dao Wuliang was shocked. Zhao had only been around for 3,000 years, and the era of the nations was around 3,000 years ago. If this demon had been suppressed for 5,000 years, wouldn't it have been suppressed in the dark forest during the era of the nations? Even if it was a great demon, Su Fong couldn't let his clansmen be threatened. Senior, there are some of my clansmen in the mountain ahead. Please take a detour. The demonic qi sneered evilly. Oomph. I hate people like you the most. You can't win, so you pretend to be obedient. You are a human in front of me, but behind me, you are a ghost. I need living people to cultivate my body and recover my former strength. It would have been better if you didn't mention it. I only sensed some human essence, but I didn't expect there to be so many people. Su Fong wiped his cold sweat. Xian Huang, can you suppress this demon? Xian Huang replied, Yes, I can. Master, this demon used to be at least a golden core expert. I can sense the golden core in his body. As long as we trap him and let Xian Huang spend some time, we can suppress this demon. He immediately told this news to Dao Wuliang. The latter was overjoyed. Since Xian Huang's 6 Paths Pagoda could suppress demons, they had nothing to be afraid of. Kill. indestructible golden body, Su Fong was like a golden meteor. Since the indestructible golden body could block the poisonous qi, it might be able to block the demonic qi as well. Then, he used the fire spirit in the space of the spiritual vein in his right arm to summon the demonic qi. He shouted in the sky, "Formless fire cloud blade." The golden Su Fong arrived above the demonic qi and raised his hands high. A fiery blade about 10 feet long condensed in his hands. It was just a shape. Then, from the surroundings of the demonic qi, a fiery blade suddenly descended from the void. The fiery blade exploded, and dozens of fiery blades fell into the demonic qi. Su Fong snorted domineeringly. "Even if I can't burn you to death, I will still hack you to death." Dao Wuliang took out the wooden stick, ready to use a powerful attack on the demon. Sure enough, the demonic qi below burst into bursts of fiery light. It seemed that the indestructible golden fire cloud's attack was effective. But soon, he could no longer use the formless fiery cloud blade. This divine power consumed too much spiritual energy and mana. Plus, he had just started cultivating, so he could not use it for a long time. Just as Dao Wuliang was about to attack, a huge cloud of demonic qi suddenly floated up. Inside it were 2 demon corpses. The demonic qi was devouring the corpses. The demonic qi quickly flashed away, leaving behind a sentence. "I will remember you. When I condense my Dharma body, I will definitely take revenge for today." Seeing the demonic qi disappear, Su Fong looked at Dao Wuliang. "Why did the demon leave?" Dao Wuliang shook his head. "I'm not sure. But this demon is indeed powerful. Once he condenses his Dharma body, he will be invincible in the Zhao country. You may meet him again in the future. You have to be careful." Worried that the demon would come back, the two waited for the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. Just as they were about to return to the Red Palm volcano, Dao Wuliang's expression suddenly turned serious. He signaled Su Fong to be careful. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, a black-clothed man appeared. He was not standing on a flying sword. Instead, he was flying in the air 100 times faster than the flying sword. Why did such a mysterious man appear out of nowhere? Dao Wuliang transmitted his voice without any confidence. "This man is even more powerful than the demonic qi. Be careful." Luckily, this man is not a demon. The black-clothed man was very young. He looked like he was in his 20s. His long hair reached his shoulders, and he had delicate features. He looked as if he was an otherworldly Buddha. He asked the two of them indifferently, "Where is the single-horned demon monarch?" Chapter 105. One-horned demon monarch Dao Wuliang and Su Fong shook their heads in shock. They knew nothing about it. The black-clothed youth thought for a while and asked, "It's just a ball of demonic qi." The two of them pointed at the same time. "Fly to the left in the time it takes to burn a stick of incense." The black-clothed youth was about to leave when he suddenly looked at Dao Wuliang and Su Fong. "You have to be careful of this fox demon, or else you'll be devoured by it. Not even your bones will be left, especially with your rare yang qi. It's the essence that fox demons like the most. It's also the food that all demons like." Whoosh! After saying that, the black-clothed youth disappeared into thin air. Su Fong let out a sigh of relief. Just a moment ago, he met the legendary demon, and now he met such a mysterious expert. Old Fox, this person is very powerful. Not only did he see my yang qi, he also saw your real body. Didn't you say that there was no such powerful person in Zhao? Dao Wuliang said. From his words, he might be the mysterious expert from the dark forest, the expert from the place where the demon was sealed. The demon escaped, and he's here to capture it. Kid, this world is so big. Not to mention the dark forest and the crimson firmament continent. Even in this small Zhao, there might be powerful people. That's why I disguised myself as a human and walked carefully in Zhao. When I fought with the Heaven Gate Saint Emperor, I didn't use my true strength because I didn't want to disturb the real human experts and get into trouble. Now you understand how dangerous this world is. There are so many strange people. I thought that the vast core realm was the strongest. This time, they learned their lesson. Coupled with the heaven and earth anomaly, the country of Zhao changed greatly. Not only did the demons go berserk, but now even the demon had appeared. This meant that the country of Zhao was full of danger. Increasing their strength was the way to go. Thinking of this, the two of them immediately returned to the Red Palm volcano and ordered the 4 experts to keep an eye on the situation outside. I'm not afraid of a demon riot, but if I meet the demon and some other experts, I'll be at a disadvantage. I can't afford to provoke them. I should take this opportunity to increase my strength and then go to Zhao to find that King Yu. I believe that Zhao isn't much better now. After consuming a yang energy pearl, the power of the vast pill began to sweep through his entire body. At the same time, he cultivated the Dharma power in his mind. The Dharma power could be absorbed into his body and appeared in his palm. It would fuse with his spiritual power and then attack his divine aperture. From time to time, primordial chaos sacred realm would produce some extreme cold energy. It had the effect of harmonizing the yang qi and would eventually become true pure yang energy. During this time, he also swallowed a few yang energy beads. The core embryo in his dantian was the size of a grape, but it seemed to be able to contain an immeasurable amount of spiritual energy. On the surface of the core embryo, he could clearly see the aura left behind by cultivating the illusory fire cloud. Fire cloud wings. Su Fang's body spurted out a fiery cloud of flames, which then condensed into a pair of 10-foot-long wings on his back. From afar, he looked like 2 fiery clouds floating in the sky. Whoosh, the wings of fire cloud fluttered slightly, allowing Su Fang to slowly rise into the air. Su Fangda was delighted. In the future, even without a flying sword, we can still fly. The only drawback is that the wings of fire cloud requires magic power and spiritual power to activate, while a flying sword is much easier to use. This was a divine power that came from the illusory fire cloud. A pair of fire cloud wings condensed behind one's back, allowing one to fly without a flying sword. Su Fang also cultivated the fire cloud steps. This footwork reminded him of Tianmen Province's divine asynchronous footwork. However, divine asynchronous footwork was just a simple footwork. The fire cloud steps was a divine power. Not only was it a footwork, but it was also an offensive leg technique. When he activated the fire cloud steps, he would sweep out with astonishing might. The most difficult of the fire cloud steps, the phaseless fire cloud saber, and the wings of fire cloud from the illusory fire cloud was the phaseless fire cloud saber. Its might was unimaginable, but the requirements for spiritual power and dharmic powers were also abnormally strict. With his current cultivation level, it was already a miracle that he could use it for 10 breaths. The main reason for cultivating the illusory fire cloud was to control the spirit fire and then refine gold and silver. Now, with the spirit fire in his arm as the foundation, he could indeed use the illusory fire cloud to produce flames, but the duration was not very long. Su Fang had already mastered 2 divine powers, the great giant diamond body and the illusory fire cloud. Divine powers could not be cultivated casually. It was just that cultivators should not cultivate too many or too diverse divine powers. It was only meaningful to choose some useful, practical, and profound divine powers to cultivate. Bang, 3 months later. In the cave, waves of qi surged and exploded. Su Fang's entire body was covered in impurities. There were 2 layers in the qi. Vast core, 2nd level. The moment he broke through, the core began to spin crazily, absorbing blood qi, spiritual power, and dharmic powers. Under Su Fang's control, the power of advancement attacked the divine aperture again and again. The essence of the core and the dharmic powers of the divine aperture gradually formed a connection channel. Because of this channel, the 2 types of energy merged and exchanged from time to time. The dharmic powers could give the core a solid defense, while the essence of the core could cultivate the dharmic powers and condense them even more. Vast core, 2nd level. Swallowing yang qi pearls, coupled with the cold power of the ancient mirror, with such surging energy assisting his cultivation, the breakthrough was like a surging river, majestic and majestic. The power of advancement gradually calmed down. After taking meridian-activating pills, especially the yang qi pearls, his physical body reached the normal state of the second level of vast core. Now, my physical body has probably reached the strength of 1,000 horses. With one punch, I can smash a 4th or 5th level vast core expert in a meat paste. Dao Wuliang flashed and arrived at the cave. Su Fong said, "It's time to leave this place. I've thought about it. In order to increase my strength and kill King Yu, I should find some powerful big goblin to suppress while the demons are in a frenzy." Dao Wuliang nodded and said, "Anomalies of heaven and earth, the appearance of demons and demons, it is a disaster for anyone. But you have that hateful ancient mirror and the black-yellow 6 Paths Pagoda. This disaster for others is an opportunity for you. Fine, I will go with you. I will return to the southern border on the way." After the discussion, Su Fong went to see Su Yin, Su Yi, and the others. He told them to cultivate diligently. In the future, they would be responsible for protecting the family. After reminding the 4 experts, the 2 flew out of the Red Palm volcano on their flying swords. The Red Palm volcano was no longer burning like before, but it was filled with layers of volcanic ash. This was indeed a good place to hide. Half a day later, they would enter the central territory of Zhao. Along the way, he did encounter quite a few demons. Unfortunately, none of them were powerful demons. Since he had entered the vast core realm, ordinary demons could only transform into yang qi beads, which could only provide him with a small amount of energy. Therefore, he didn't bother suppressing ordinary demons. Demonic qi. What a strong demonic qi. Dao Wuliang, who was standing on his flying sword, accompanied Su Fong to look for demons. Suddenly, with his special ability, he immediately sensed something and flew to the right with Su Fong. It didn't take long before they saw a city. Unfortunately, the city was huge, but there were demons running around everywhere. They destroyed buildings and smashed the city walls to smithereens. The sturdy towers, palaces, and city walls were too weak in front of dozens of demons. They could hear many humans crying for help. There were also Dharma Insight Realm cultivators fighting with the demons, but most of them were running for their lives. "We can't leave them to die. Dao Wuliang, cooperate with me to suppress these demons. Even if they are ordinary demons, let's absorb the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda to provide energy for the pagoda." "Wait." Dao Wuliang stopped Su Fong and pointed to the depths of the city. There was a cloud of dust in the sky. "I feel that there's an unusual big goblin there." Big Goblin Su Fong was excited when he heard that. Whether it was suppressing or using the Origin Saint as a yang qi seed, he could break through to the vast core realm level 3. "Let's go." Dao Wuliang stopped him and said, "What's the rush? That monster is not ordinary. It must have formed a golden core or even stronger. You have to think carefully. Although this monster is violent and has lost its mind, it is not easy to get close to it and suppress it. Besides, we don't know if this monster has regained its consciousness or not. You and I can't compare to it." A golden core, realm, big goblin. Su Fong was indeed frightened, but he was only stunned for a moment. With a determined look, he flew towards the city. There was only one sentence in his mind. Grandpa has the demon-revealing mirror. Why should he be afraid of demons? Dao Wuliang helplessly followed Su Fong towards the cloud of dust. The 2 of them looked down and saw blood and flesh everywhere. It could be described as a river of blood. Human blood and demon aura mixed together. Countless people died. They did not know what kind of demon it was. It was huge and seemed to be gnawing on something delicious. They could hear the sound of bones being crushed. Su Fong did not dare to act rashly. He could only release his consummate ability. "Old Fox, you are very knowledgeable. Is this big goblin from Nanjiang?" Dao Wuliang was very confused. There are big goblins in Nanjiang who have formed a golden core, but there are not many of them. I don't know who is so unlucky. We have to take a look to find out. Maybe it is from the dark forest or the crimson sky continent. Let's go. They decided to go down and take a look. The two of them stepped on their flying swords and quietly approached. You are courting death. Suddenly, a wave of fury rose from the depths of the Blood River. Then, a demonic wind, like countless wind blades whirlpools, rushed out from the center of the cloud of dust. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dao Wuliang and Su Fong did not expect this. They could not dodge in time. Like two ants, they were swept up by the demonic wind and spun around in the air. What a powerful, big goblin. Dao Wuliang's body changed a little. He turned into a half-human, half-demon. He released a wave of demonic aura and entangled Su Fong. He was shocked. Let's run. What? Su Fong did not want to run away like this. It was not easy to meet a peerless big goblin that was more powerful than Dao Wuliang. If we don't run, we are done for. Dao Wuliang was very anxious. Void Claw. Unexpectedly, before Dao Wuliang could forcefully take Su Fong away, 100-meter big claw print grabbed at the storm where the two of them were in midair. The two of them were sucked into the claw print. For the first time in his life, Su Fong was imprisoned by a divine ability. For a moment, the world spun. Only now did he understand why Dao Wuliang wanted to run. They had really met a peerless big goblin. The two of them were dazed inside the claw print. They could not resist. Then, attracted by a green light, they were sucked into the cloud of dust. They floated above the countless human corpses and were imprisoned by the claw print. And in front of the green light, there was a huge rock. It looked like an infinitely enlarged eagle. Its eyes were blood red, and its body was covered in green feathers. Each feather was 10 feet long. The huge rock was over 300 feet tall. It was currently eating a demon corpse. It swallowed the flesh piece by piece. The corpses were scattered around it, blood flowing slightly. After eating so many corpses, the huge rock was still not full. It's over. Within the claw print, Su Fong looked at Dao Wuliang. His intestines were green with regret. Without Dao Wuliang's introduction, Su Fong could see how terrifying this huge rock was. The huge rock only glanced indifferently at the two of them. It was completely disdainful. It continued tearing apart the demon corpses and swallowing them whole. Su Fong was covered in cold sweat. He transmitted, "Old fox, can you break this seal?" Dao Wuliang really wanted to give Su Fong a few kicks. If it weren't for Su Fong, they wouldn't have ended up like this. This is a divine ability, not an ordinary seal. I have yet to condense a golden core. I'm not its match, and I can't see through this huge rock's strength. Even the southern wilderness doesn't have such a powerful figure. Dao Wuliang shook his head. Chapter 106. Dao Wuliang was filled with regret. It's all your fault. Why did you have to deal with that big goblin? Now that the big goblin has come out, why don't you suppress him for me to see? What's the point of saying that now? Kill him. Su Fong was also filled with anger. He had not expected to meet a big goblin that even Dao Wuliang was helpless against. Kill him. Dao Wuliang wanted to cry, but no tears came out. How could Su Fong not know where to go? The rock suddenly glanced at Dao Wuliang. There's a little fox. This king hates foxes the most. Female foxes are slutty, while male foxes are covered in fur. I'm definitely going to take your fur. It's not bad to make a cloak out of it. Don't be like this. Let's talk things over. We're all demons. There's no need to kill each other. This Dao Master, no, this Junior's essence energy is also heavily injured. Senior, please forgive this Junior. Dao Wuliang was cowering and apologizing in front of the rock. Su Fong was blinded. He had thought that Dao Wuliang would be able to stand up, but in the end, he was just a coward. Speaking of which, the demons of the Crimson Firmament Continent all call this king Grandpa when they see him. I remember now. There was a female fox in the Crimson Firmament Continent that was very powerful, but she disappeared. In any case, this king gets angry whenever he talks about the fox race. The rock ignored Dao Wuliang. Ayo! Suddenly, the demons around them roared in anger. Dao Wuliang and Su Fong looked around. A few demons were charging forward, smashing apart buildings and pushing them down. They seemed to want to attack the rock. How long has it been since this king had a full meal? The rock was very angry. Even a meal is disturbed. A bunch of little demons that can't even be considered grandsons. The rock's blood-red eyes stared at the demons. Those blood-red eyes suddenly turned golden, and he looked at the bear demon at the front. He opened his mouth and sucking the bear demon into his mouth. Who? The rock's right wing curled, and there was a series of explosions. A wave of demonic chi tore the two demons apart. Strong beyond description. Dao Wuyong and Su Fong were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. These few monsters were all from the transcendent to the vast core realm. It would take them a few moves to kill them, but in front of the giant rock, they were nothing. Not to mention that the giant rock had eaten one alive. Fox demons and humans are not bad as appetizers. Su Fong had to think of a way. Dao Wuyong was also anxious. Just as he was thinking of a way to make Su Fong use the Origin Saint realm to look at the heaven-defying giant rock, the giant rock breathed out a demonic wind and sucked them into its mouth along with the seal. It's over. Dao Wuyong and Su Fong looked at each other. They were done for. Their vision suddenly turned from darkness to blood red. The two of them looked and saw that they were being sucked into the depths of the giant rock's esophagus. The seal that surrounded them also seemed to be dissipating. It seemed that the giant rock wanted to melt them alive. Squeak, squeak, and the giant rock's gastric juices were too abnormal, corroding the seal layer by layer. When Dao Wuyong saw this, he saw that the final seal was about to disappear. He unexpectedly launched a talisman, transforming it into a defensive barrier. When the gastric juices pressed in, it surrounded Su Fong and him. Chi, the gastric juices, seemed to be able to corrode magic weapons. The talisman defensive barrier was continuously swallowed up by the gastric juices. Dao Wuyong and Su Fong deeply understood that if they came into contact with the gastric juices, their bodies would be instantly corroded. But Dao Wuyong and Su Fong's eyes brightened. Because they could use spiritual energy now, it meant that Su Fong could activate the Origin Saint realm and attack the giant rock from the inside. Just like that time in the Star Duels desert, when they were trapped in the Sand Tuam monster's stomach, they still used the ancient mirror to kill their way out. Su Fong was about to summon the ancient mirror when the mysterious yellow and his body slightly shook. Master, there is a treasure. Dao Wuyong. I will use the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Treasure. Let's take a look first. Although the situation was dire, they still had life-saving measures. As a result, Dao Wuyong used his true power this time. A talisman appeared on his chest, erupting with demonic light that enveloped the two. This time, the giant rock's gastric juices unexpectedly could not easily corrode the talisman's defenses, slowing them down considerably. Dao Wuyong was quite pleased. This is Grandpa Dao's protective talisman. What a fox demon grandson. The giant rock shouted in shock. It seems you are the descendant of Daojin Fox Mother. This king thought she had fallen after disappearing in the Crimson Firmament Continent. I did not expect to cross the dark forest and hide in this tiny territory. Senior, family does not fight family. You know Junior's grandmother. Dao Wuyong was very excited, but for some reason, the giant rock was instead furious. Your grandmother? Then that's good. Daojin Fox Mother was this king's sworn enemy back then. Where's that old hag of yours? Dao Wuyong mustered up all his strength. She is in the southern border. If you have the ability, go find her. My grandmother's magic power is boundless. She can sweep you out of the Crimson Firmament Continent with a single tail. The giant rock laughed eerily. The southern border. That small place is nothing compared to the Crimson Firmament Continent. Isn't it just using the dark forest to hide from the Crimson Firmament Continent? Even if you have the talisman condensed by Daojin Fox Mother, this king will quickly corrode it. Little fox, what are you so proud of? Old fox, this is not how you recognize relatives. Who told you to climb up the social ladder? Don't be anxious. Xian Huang said that there is a treasure in the giant rock's stomach. I also sensed it. Once I get the treasure, I will use the ancient mirror to barbecue him. At this time, the esophagus suddenly widened. By the time Su Fong finished speaking, he and Dao Wuliang had already reached the depths of the giant rock's stomach. Just as they were thinking about where the treasure was, they saw the stench of blood. There was a seal floating in the middle of the stomach filled with powerful gastric juices and demon corpses. There was a seal in the giant rock's stomach. The two of them could not believe it. Dao Wuliang controlled the power of the talisman, and the two of them left the gastric juices and gradually floated up. Only then did they see the seal clearly. There were countless talismans intertwined together to form a seal. There was a fragment in the seal, a bronze fragment. It was only the size of a palm. They did not know what kind of magic treasure it was, but it was tightly sealed by so many talismans. Dao Wuliang's expression changed instantly. He pointed at the talismans and said with fear, "This seal seems to be from the strongest sect in the Crimson Firmament continent, the Celestial Sealing Sect." The Celestial Sealing Sect was already beyond Su Fong's knowledge. When we were young, my old grandmother would always talk about the Crimson Firmament continent. Among them was the Celestial Sealing Sect. There were many sects in the Crimson Firmament continent, but the strongest sect was not the Celestial Sealing Sect. There were piles of golden core cultivators in the sect. This is so powerful. The giant rock is related to the Celestial Sealing Sect. It seems that after the worldly anomaly, he crossed the dark forest from the Crimson Firmament continent and came here. Ha! As soon as he said that, he heard the giant rock laugh. Daojin Foxmother's grandson is not bad. You even know about the Celestial Sealing Sect. You are quite clever. You guessed right. This king is indeed from the Celestial Sealing Sect. Senior, you are an unparalleled almighty. How can you be related to the Celestial Sealing Sect? That is the human territory. Dao Wuliang looked at the giant rock, trying to get closer. The giant rock snorted. Do you think I want the Celestial Sealing Sect to take advantage of my weakness and suppress me in the Celestial Sealing Sect for 10,000 years? Oomph. They even left this seal in this king's body and made this king suppress this huge secret treasure for them. It is indeed a treasure. Su Fong thought about the seal. He secretly asked, "Xian Huang, can you suck that copper piece out?" Xian Huang said, "The copper piece can sense it, but this seal is too powerful. Even if Master has condensed a golden core, he can't use Xian Huang to suck the treasure out. Plus, Xian Huang has not recovered yet, so it can't use its full power. Senior, what kind of treasure is this? Let me broaden my horizons." Dao Wuliang was still trying to think of a way to get the giant rock to release him. The giant rock said, "Did your undying grandmother ever tell you about the Human Emperor world?" "The Human Emperor world?" Dao Wuliang thought for a moment and nodded. "I heard that the mortal world we live in is called the Zhua Tian world. It's one of the countless minor worlds. The Human Emperor world is a minor world very close to the Zhua Tian world. But according to my grandmother, the Human Emperor world has already been destroyed. It's a broken world with no spiritual chi and no resources. The Human Emperor world has already been reduced to a broken world, but the creator of the Human Emperor world, the Human Emperor, left behind a world core in the Human Emperor world. Once you obtain it, you can become the world master of the strongest minor world and rebuild the Human Emperor world," said the giant palm with interest. "The world core is the power the Human Emperor left behind. Whoever obtains it can rebuild the Human Emperor world and become an undying world master, the master of a world. As for the fragment sealed in my body, it is called the Human Emperor's Bright Wheel. It is the key to finding the world core." Dao Wuliang gasped in shock. "It really is a peerless treasure." The giant rock continued, "Junior, you've broadened your horizons. Whoever can find all the fragments of the Human Emperor's Bright Wheel will obtain the world core of the Human Emperor world, rebuild the Human Emperor world, and become the king of a minor world." The Celestial Sealing Sect accidentally obtained this fragment. They were worried that others would find out about it. So they suppressed this king without caring about the consequences. They even sealed the fragment in my body and used demonic chi to conceal its aura. Hee, did you hear that? We're really lucky this time. Dao Wuyong suddenly looked greedily at Su Fong and transmitted, "The human emperor world is another minor world. If we can obtain this fragment, we can collect other fragments in the future. Then we'll have a chance to find the world core. Do you know who the strongest person in this mortal world is?" Su Fong immediately shook his head. "World Master. Of course it's the World Master. The World Master is called the World Master. Our minor world is called the Zhua Tian world, and the strongest person is the Zhua Tian world's World Master. If either of us can fuse with the human emperor world's world core, then we'll be the strongest experts in the Zhua Tian world. World Master." These two words caused the old fox's eyes to shine. It was a greedy demonic light. To Su Fong, this was the first time he truly entered the world of cultivators. He knew that this world was the Zhua Tian world, and outside of it, there was the human emperor world. The strongest were not golden core experts, but world masters. In the boundless mortal world, world masters were the strongest. The giant Peng sighed in anger. "Damn celestial sealing sect. I, Green Feather King, am the only giant Peng in the Crimson Firmament continent. How dare I suppress this king for 10,000 years? This king will definitely take revenge in the future. Is this king supposed to be your guard?" The giant Peng was angry, and Su Fong's mind was filled with the words Human Emperor World, Human Emperor Ming Luan, and World Master. Before this, his purpose of cultivation was to avenge his father. But now it was different. He finally knew how big this world was, and what was the point of reaching the vast core realm. World Master, the strongest existence in this world. Su Fong secretly swore that from now on, World Master was his goal. Su Fong transmitted, "Old Fox, this is indeed a good opportunity for us. The fragment of the Ming Luan and this Green Feather King. I'll definitely take it. Let's burn it, suppress the Green Feather King, and take the fragment of the Ming Luan that belongs to the Celestial Sealing sect. After that, you and I will go and collect the other fragments." Chapter 107. That's exactly what I like. That damnable rock seems to be my grandmother's archenemy. I can't wait to kill him. Dao Wuyong smiled sweetly, treating Su Fong as a relative. "You'll have to rely on your ancient mirror. Then you'll have to use the Xianhuang six-path pagoda to suppress him. But with this rock, you'll be able to roam freely in this world. Keep trying to fool him." Su Fong pulled out the primeval chaos sage, and the ancient mirror appeared. Dao Wuyong was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweat. Su Fong had once said that he would never forget this feeling for the rest of his life. And as expected, he had been right. Dao Wuyong came back to his senses. Seeing the runes around him weakening, he smiled mischievously. "Senior, Junior has to congratulate you on escaping the immortal sealing sect," Green Feather King said. "After being sealed for 10,000 years, I still have a belly full of anger. That damnable immortal sealing gate really isn't easy to deal with. The heavens are really helping me. Senior, you have to be careful. According to my grandmother, the immortal sealing sect is extremely powerful. If you run here, the immortal sealing sect will definitely chase after you. Why don't you go to the southern border and work with my grandmother? It'll be easier to deal with the immortal sealing sect. Work with a female fox." Thinking about it, Green Feather King really was fooled. That old fox is really strong. She really can work with this king. At this moment, the primordial sacred mirror in Su Fong's hand finally released a red light. The red light was 1,000 times stronger than usual. It seemed the primordial sacred mirror would release a different red light for different demons. Green Feather King was a true big goblin. Dao Wuyong was nothing in front of him. That was why the primordial sacred mirror was so powerful. Buzz! A large amount of red light shot out from the ancient mirror, illuminating the depths of Green Feather King's abdomen. This was because Green Feather King's inner core was located in the depths of his abdomen. Why do I feel nauseous? After a breath's time, the Green Feather King sensed something and flew into a rage. You little fox demon, what did you do in this king's body? Haha, you stupid bird. I'll teach you a lesson later, laughed Dao Wuliang. If you want to rebel, I'll kill you. It was unknown how powerful Green Feather King was. In the space of his abdomen, an indescribable demonic chi suddenly gushed out. With a power that blotted out the sky, it blasted toward the ruined defense where the two were. Su Fong couldn't describe Green Feather King's strength. Even his soul seemed to be trembling. Old fox, can this ruined talisman withstand it? Dao Wuliang was not much better off. He was sweating profusely. I can hold on for a while. Hurry up. Hiss, hiss. Large amounts of nine-yang quintessential qi began to activate the primordial chaos sacred realm. Indeed, the red light became blinding. Peng the demonic qi was like a tidal wave, rolling up the talisman. The two of them were shaken and dizzy, and Dao Wuliang coughed up mouthfuls of blood. He was the one who controlled the rune talisman. At this moment, the rune talisman was bearing most of the power, while the controller had to bear a small portion of the power. Just a small portion of the power was enough to almost kill Dao Wuliang. Dao Wuliang's body went limp, but he was still in his hand-seal position. His human form was finally replaced by red fur. Dao Wuliang had returned to his true form, but he no longer had that intimidating aura. He weakly spat out a large amount of demonic qi, which merged with the rune talisman. Dao Wuliang was going all out. What are you doing inside this king's body? Dao Wuliang couldn't bear this wave of attacks. He didn't know if he could survive the next wave. Green Feather King was finally being tortured by the red light. His demonic qi rapidly dispersed, and Dao Wuliang could clearly sense that Green Feather King was beginning to struggle. Green Feather King was so huge. Su Fong continued to activate the ancient mirror. The red light grew stronger and stronger. Dao Wuliang also returned to his human form. Finally, he was no longer worried. Clenching his teeth, he said, "Kill him. No, don't kill him. Torture him." Su Fong was also not tired. It was rare to catch a strong expert like Green Feather King. With such a strong expert protecting them, Zhao country was nothing. This big goblin is not obedient. Of course, we have to teach him a lesson. The red light was extremely strange. At this moment, the demonic rock's stomach was trembling. His heart was thumping loudly, and his blood was flowing. Goo goo. After a while, the two heard Green Feather King's intestines wriggling. A large amount of blood qi also entered his intestines. Green Feather King shouted, "Stop! Stop! You also have a day like this. Before this, you wanted to kill me." Dao Wuliang continued to signal Su Fong not to let Green Feather King go. Otherwise, once Green Feather King caught his breath, he would instantly activate his masculine power and kill the two of them. There would be no medicine for regret then. The red light began to extend. Previously, it only covered part of Green Feather King's body. Now it was getting bigger and bigger. It seemed to cover Green Feather King's entire body. If that was the case, Green Feather King would not be far from death. Puff, puff. The sound of farting suddenly sounded like spring thunder. Dao Wuliang and Su Fong felt like their hearts were about to jump out of their throats. It seemed that the ancient mirror's power was being used to purify Green Feather King's impurities. In the end, he was being burned to death by the nine-yang true flame. No matter how big goblin you were, as long as you had the ancient mirror in your hand, you would have to kneel before it. The red light gradually covered Green Feather King's body. Green Feather King seemed to be rolling on the ground. He also began to beg for mercy. "Stop. Let's talk." "What's there to talk about, Green Feather King?" Since Su Fong had spoken, it was naturally not Dao Wuliang's turn to speak. "I can kill you right now. You've lived for 10,000 years, a peerless existence. It wasn't easy for you to get to where you are today. Now, I'll give you a chance to submit to me." The Green Feather King immediately refused. "Bullshit. It's you who wants me to submit to a human. Keep dreaming. What a pity. You've been suppressed by the immortal sealing sect for 10,000 years. It wasn't easy for you to encounter a manifestation of heaven and earth, allowing you to escape the seal. But now, you're going to die at my hands. You'll have to swallow all the anger you've endured for 10,000 years. Humans are all trash. The immortal sealing sect is trash, and you're also trash. The Jua heaven realm belongs to you humans, but the other realms are also dominated by us demons. Don't talk so far. You're going to die now. No, I won't let you die. I'll slowly torture you. In any case, I'm not in a rush. No. There was another series of fart noises. Green Feather King let out a miserable cry. In his abdomen, one could see his muscles twitching and stiffening. Green Feather King was in an indescribable torment. Only Dao Wuyang could understand this kind of pain. So he was very pleased with himself. He knew Green Feather King was doomed today. Whoosh! Suddenly, flames flickered on the mirror. Nine Yang true flame that scared Dao Wuyang so much that he hastily retreated. He didn't understand how such a terrifying true flame could exist. Su Fong didn't really want to kill Green Feather King. He immediately used his Nine Yang true chi to weaken the ancient mirror's red light. He just wanted to stop the Nine Yang true flame from burning Green Feather King. Next, he continued to use the red light to torture Green Feather King. He refused to believe Green Feather King was made of iron. Even if he was, he would melt. Dao Wuyang laughed mischievously. Su Fong stared at the immortal sealing sect seal, the fragment of the human emperor's bright wheel. If he could obtain that, he could become the ruler of a world. What did Tianmin province count for? What did Zhao count for? What did Scarlet Heaven continent count for? After nearly 2 hours, Green Feather King's torture finally stopped. Can't this king consider it? But Su Fong's icy reply was, "You have time, but I don't." After a few breaths, Green Feather King lowered his head. "I'm a punk king." "So what if you're a punk king?" asked Su Fong. "You didn't give me any face at all." Tears streamed down Green Feather King's face. He had been arrogant all his life, but now he had fallen at the hands of a brat. "Soul stripping," shouted Su Fong once more. Green Feather King finally tossed aside that bit of face. His soul transformed into a green feather pung that condensed in his stomach. Behind, Su Fong used the blood seal to merge with Green Feather King's soul. Then he drew his soul into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Xianhuang and Su Fong merged perfectly. As long as the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda didn't die, Green Feather King wouldn't be able to escape. In the future, when Su Fong became a true peerless expert, he wouldn't even need to use a magic treasure to imprison Green Feather King. Green Feather King's inner breath wrapped around a talisman, sucking Su Fong and Dao Wuyang out of his esophagus. The moment he opened his mouth, the two of them finally left that disgusting world. King Grade enchanted item. I didn't expect you to have such an extraordinary enchanted item. Unfortunately, it's broken. Green Feather King's body shrank until he was in his 30s. He was a dark-skinned man in azure robes. His eyes were as sharp as a hawk's. Dao Wuyang's arrogance grew. Facing Green Feather King, who had lived for over 10,000 years, he grinned. Since you've come to the state of Zhao with a fragment of a human emperor's wheel, will the immortal sealing sex experts cross the dark forest to catch you? Even if I have to go to the ends of the world, they'll still find me. Green Feather King was furious. Su Fong thought for a moment and waved his right hand. The Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda appeared. They won't be able to find you. In the future, you can hide in the first level of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. You'll be the commander of the first level. I'll give you cultivation resources, such as energy filled with Yang Qi. The devil race loves Yang-type treasures the most. Green Feather King was helpless. With the immortal sealing sect watching him, he could only hide. What treasure did you use against me just now? It can't be this King Grey Pagoda, right? It's definitely a Dao item. Only an enchanted item that doesn't belong to a minor world can make this king unable to resist. It's an even more powerful treasure. Come in. Su Fong activated the pagoda, and the door to the first level slowly opened. Swoosh! As for Green Feather King, Although being imprisoned by Su Fong was a very sad thing, being able to hide in the Xian Huang Six Paths Pagoda was actually a good thing. That way, as long as the Xian Huang Six Paths Pagoda didn't release his aura, the Immortal Sealing Sect wouldn't be able to find him. Su Fong and the Immortal Sealing Sect naturally made him feel more apprehensive. Green Feather King, I'll give you a big gift right now. Suck these devils into the first level of Xianhuang. You can kill them or suppress them as you wish. From now on, you'll be the first level's commander. Stepping on his flying sword, he didn't wait for Dao Wuyang to sweep over the 30 devils. He immediately activated the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xianhuang instantly expanded to 300 meters in size. With a creak, the door to the first level of the tower opened. As Su Fong's spirit energy gushed out, the door to the first level of the tower emitted a shocking light. When the light touched the demons, it immediately sucked them into the light, one after another. However, he didn't encounter any demons that were close to the strength of a high-level vast core realm. Dodging to the side, it sucked in several more devils. The city finally calmed down. However, it had already been destroyed, and more devils would come. Brat, I won't be traveling with you anymore. Goodbye. When you're done, come find me in the southern border. Dao Wuyang waved goodbye. Su Fong nodded at him and watched as that old fox stepped on his flying sword and disappeared into the depths of the sky. Chapter 108. After leaving the city, he found a large mountain and hid in its depths. His consciousness entered Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. In the first layer, he immediately saw Green Feather King sitting cross-legged in the air in his human form. He was releasing demonic energy to devour dozens of monsters. Any monster that couldn't hold on and had their energy drained would be swallowed by Green Feather King. Cannibalism. This was the world of monsters. Su Fong communicated with Mysterious Yellow. Green Feather King is now the commander. Mysterious Yellow replied, "Not completely. He needs some time to fuse with it. Green Feather King also needs to control some forbidden techniques in my body. My main body hasn't recovered, so I can't display my absolute power. However, once Green Feather King fuses with the forbidden techniques and Mysterious Yellow becomes Master's natal magic treasure, Master will be able to display his power." After understanding, Su Fong also sat cross-legged. He took out a lot of spirit stones and swallowed a channel relaxation pill. He also used the Origin Sacred Mirror to illuminate the sky and absorb yang energy at the same time. Green Feather King was too strong. This time, Su Fong almost lost his life. At this time, he was also heavily injured. It would take at least half a year for him to recover. He had just advanced to the second layer of Vast Core Realm some time ago, but this time he was unexpectedly heavily injured. Even the core embryo in his dantian had shrunk. All kinds of energy condensed in his body, and his injuries improved little by little. In Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, Su Fong's consciousness condensed and saw Green Feather King absorbing the energy of the last few monsters. He said bluntly, "We still need to catch more monsters for this king to cultivate. This king has been suppressed under the Celestial Sealing Sect for 10,000 years. His strength is not as strong as before. He needs to find a way to recover as soon as possible. If the experts of the Celestial Sealing Sect come, you won't be their opponent." Su Fong's main body was cultivating, so his consciousness was very free. The Celestial Sealing Sect is really powerful. How is it not powerful? The publicly recognized #1 sect in the Crimson Firmament continent, the overlord of the continent. It is the strongest power in the Zhuotian world. In your eyes, Golden Core experts are extremely powerful and rare. However, in the Celestial Sealing Sect, Golden Core experts are very common. For the sake of human Emperor Minglun, the Celestial Sealing Sect suppressed you for 10,000 years. So what if you're the #1 sect? In this world, the strong are revered. The Immortal Sealing Sect has power and resources. They can suppress whoever they want. This king might not be able to do anything to them right now, but that might not be the case in the future. Furthermore, when they suppressed me, they took away all my treasures, leaving this king without a single powerful magical treasure. Don't be anxious. Once my injuries recover, I will capture a large number of demons for you to cultivate. After chatting with Green Feather Monarch for a while, he could feel how powerful the other party was. With such an expert as the Grand Commander, even in the Crimson Firmament continent, he could do whatever he wanted. It was a pity that Green Feather King would have to hide in Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda from now on. His body was sealed by the Celestial Sealing Sect. Once he lost control of the magic treasure, the experts of the Celestial Sealing Sect would definitely come looking for him. A few months later, Su Fong flew out of the mountains on his flying sword, approaching Zhao. His injuries had healed much faster than he had expected. As long as he encountered any slightly powerful demons, he would directly absorb them into the first layer of the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda for Green Feather King to cultivate. This was killing two birds with one stone. He could get rid of the demons that were wreaking havoc in the mortal world. Just as he was about to reach Zhao's imperial city, he passed by a destroyed city when he saw several sword lights flying over. Since he had come to the center of the country of Zhao, it wasn't strange for him to encounter cultivators. He had just hidden himself when he saw over 10 experts on flying swords chasing after the few people from before. These experts were all soldiers from the country of Zhao. They were clearly experts from the country of Zhao. I can capture a few of them and ask them about Zhao's current situation. After thinking for a moment, he rode the flying sword and flew into the depths of the clouds. Su Fong quickly caught up with the state of Zhao's expert. Just as he was about to attack, he suddenly saw a familiar face among the people being chased. Taking a closer look, he confirmed it was an old acquaintance. Crimson Swallow Great Emperor originally at the Star Dual Sand Plains. He had seen how powerful Crimson Swallow Great Emperor was. Although he was inferior to Dao Wuliang and Tianmen's Holy Emperor, he was comparable to Ho Ping. But why would such a great leader be pursued by Zhao's experts with only a few people? His concealment was even higher, and in just a short while, the experts from Zhao country had caught up to Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor. Zhao country had the advantage in numbers, and their army was strong and sturdy. After a round of encirclement, they beheaded a few people around Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor. The remaining Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor was in a sorry state, but he managed to kill a few Zhao country experts. Among Zhao's experts, there was an expert whose strength was on par with Crimson Swallow Great Emperor. He wore black armor, and his aura was indistinct. Crimson Swallow Great Emperor, you can still surrender to my Zhao. The Feather Emperor you followed was defeated by my Zhao's Ancestral Emperor. Who in this world is the Ancestral Emperor's opponent? It was very difficult for Crimson Swallow Great Emperor to kill his way out. This emperor does not want to be stepped on by others. This emperor can guarantee that from now on, this emperor will stay at Crimson Swallow Mountain and will no longer be enemies with Zhao. The black-armored expert then said, "You must say these words to the Ancestral Emperor. I'm only a general. Crimson Swallow Great Emperor, you are a great leader. Perhaps you already know that there is a supreme expert behind Zhao. Whatever Feather Emperor or Barbarian Sovereign will be beheaded. Of the 4 traitors, 2 have already been killed by the Ancestral Emperor. How long can the other traitors survive? In short, this emperor wants to live a carefree life. Please give me a way out. This emperor can offer your distinguished self the treasures I have collected over the years." Crimson Swallow Great Emperor was forced to take down the empty bag. The other party was not polite, but when Crimson Swallow Great Emperor tossed the bag over, the black-armored expert immediately ordered several people to surround him. Despicable! Crimson Swallow Great Emperor roared and immediately went mad. He summoned a low-grade magic artifact and furiously waved out a large amount of sword chi. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. Even if Crimson Swallow Great Emperor was defeated, he was still a great leader. Therefore, his strength was not ordinary. He used a large amount of sword chi and used his divine ability to kill several people. The black-armored expert personally took action. He grabbed a long saber and instantly waved it out. A large amount of saber chi collided with the sword chi, shattering the sword chi. In terms of strength, this expert from Zhao still had the upper hand. It was no wonder that Crimson Swallow Great Emperor ended up being hunted down. Crimson Swallow Great Emperor's strength is about the same as Han X Science. He is roughly at the 7th level of the vast core realm, while that black-armored man seems to be at the 8th level. Su Fong, who was hiding in the depths of the clouds, secretly figured out the strength of both parties. He then used his fire cloud wings and grabbed 2 illusion cloud ropes, preparing to attack the 2 surviving experts from Zhao. Crimson Swallow Great Emperor and the black-armored expert fought until the sky turned dark. All kinds of sword chi, saber chi, and fist techniques formed a cloud of dust that buried the 2 of them. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just as the other 2 experts were waiting for the result, 2 illusion cloud ropes shot out at lightning speed and bound them from behind. The 2 of them immediately reacted, but their energy was sealed by a finger technique. A sword chi was pressed against their necks, and the sword chi was buzzing. Su Fong coldly shouted, "If you want to live, it's very simple. Whatever I ask, you just have to answer truthfully." The 2 of them trembled and did not know what to do. Don't kill us," Su Fong asked. "Jinan Ho and the king of you betrayed Zhao, and the Feather Emperor, Barbarian Sovereign, and the other lords sent their troops to Zhao. Why does it seem like Zhao suppressed this rebellion? Tell me about Zhao's current situation." The four feudal lords did rebel overnight after the death of the emperor. In addition, the other lords also sent their troops. Zhao was indeed besieged on all sides, and the imperial city was in a mess. However, when the various forces attacked the imperial city, the ancestral emperor of Zhao appeared and ascended the throne again, becoming the current emperor of Zhao. The ancestral emperor personally took action and fought hundreds of rounds with the Feather Emperor in the imperial city. In the end, the Feather Emperor was severely injured and defeated the barbarian sovereign, taking his head. He then suppressed the 4 feudal lords and the king of Yu, regaining control of Zhao's power and military. The 2 experts were so frightened that they panicked and answered truthfully. It had only been a few years, but such a huge change had happened. Wasn't the ancestral emperor the legendary founding emperor of Zhao Wuji? This person was actually not dead. Didn't that mean his lifespan was more than 3,000 years? Even the Feather Emperor and the Barbarian Sovereign had been defeated by the ancestral emperor, and he had even suppressed the 4 rebellious feudal lords. Wouldn't the Zhao be even stronger after this calamity? Su Fong didn't care about the war, nor did he care about the lives of the feudal lords and feudal lords. He only wanted to kill the king of Yu to avenge his father. But now, taking revenge would be even more difficult. After a moment of silence, he asked, "I heard that expert mention that there is a large power behind the Zhao. We also just learned of this news. Half a year ago, a dozen cultivators suddenly appeared, and even the ancestral emperor bowed to them. Where did these experts come from? With our status, how could we know? We also don't know what they look like." However, the ancestral emperor just issued a decree for the various generals of Zhao to immediately lead troops to various territories to find a demonic rock. If anyone finds traces of a demonic rock, the ancestral emperor will reward them greatly and even make them feudal lords. So you're saying Su Fong's mind buzzed, and he felt sweat dripping down his back. He communicated with the Green Feather Emperor and confirmed that the experts who had come to Zhao were from the Crimson Firmament Continent's Immortal Sealing Sect. They had crossed the dark forest to come to Zhao in order to capture the Green Feather Emperor and take back the fragment of the Human Emperor's Bright Wheel. They're here. They're really here. Fortunately, although Zhao was small, as long as the Green Feather Emperor didn't release his aura, the Immortal Sealing Sect wouldn't be able to find him. And now that he was hiding in the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the Immortal Sealing Sect wouldn't be able to find him. After learning about the Immortal Sealing Sect, he asked, "What about the king of Yu?" One person replied, The king of Yu and the south-suppressing marquis conspired to rebel and assassinate the emperor. After the ancestral emperor appeared, the imperial court was furious and stripped the king of Yu's position. I heard he was confined to the imperial palace. Su Fong didn't understand. How can he survive after killing the emperor? The king of Yu is still a member of the Zhao imperial family. His status is respected, so even if he died, he wouldn't die so quickly. The current rebellion hasn't been suppressed yet. Once it is suppressed, Zhao might kill the king. Bang! As soon as they finished speaking, Su Fong slapped them in the back, shattering their chi Cs. They were both divine abilities experts. Without their chi Cs, they were no longer cultivators. Whoosh! Suddenly, a black-armored figure flew out of the dust-filled ground. He was carrying the Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor's head, and there were several bloody wounds on his body. He was an expert from Zhao. He had killed the Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor, but he had also been heavily injured. It could be said that both sides had suffered. The black-armored man saw Su Fong dragging his subordinates into the forest, and he was furious. "Who are you? How dare you attack an expert from Zhao?" But Su Fong's figure flickered, and flames enveloped the black-armored man. Just as he was about to activate his Dharma treasure, the spirit serpent's saber struck his chest. Su Fong then flashed from behind, using the 100 acupoints finger art to seal the expert's bloodline and energy. He then took the empty pouch tied to his waist. "Scarlet Swallow Mountain's treasures are mine." After trapping him, Su Fong flashed to the ground below. After a while, he grabbed the Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor's corpse and sucked it out of his core. Then he tossed the corpse into the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda for King Greenfeather to consume. Chapter 109. Another core at the high level of the vast core realm. His luck was not bad. Not only did he obtain the treasures that the Scarlet Swallow Emperor had collected his entire life, but he also obtained the core that he had cultivated his entire life. Looking at his dantian, he saw that there were several special marks on the core. It seemed that the Scarlet Swallow Emperor had cultivated several divine abilities. Putting away the core, Su Fong locked onto the Zhao expert and left. After flying for a while, they entered a forest. Su Fong stared at him. "You've seen it for yourself. Your life is not worth mentioning to me. You're not afraid of Zhao." The black-armored man was in his 30s and was also an expert. He was an expert like Pound, but his status was even higher than Pound and Shenhuanqi. "Why would I be afraid of Zhao? You don't need to worry about that. I have my reasons for not killing you. Right now, there are only two outcomes. The first is that I kill you, and the second is that I take your core and you'll be immortal. And the third." The man was so scared that his expression became serious. "Smart." Su Fong revealed an amused smile. "Of the first two options, one is death, and the other is to become immortal. How could you be willing to be immortal? Taking your core embryo is the same as killing you. In this time of chaos, you will be able to return to Zhao alive. The third option is even simpler. You will work for me, and I will be your leader." The black-armored man immediately nodded. "All right, but don't cripple my cultivation." Since that was the case, Su Fong used the blood seal and merged with the man's soul. He also separated a part of his soul and gave it to Xianhuang to suppress. Su Fong ordered him to sit down. He learned that this person was called Li Changfeng and was a general of the Zhao Imperial Guard. Su Fong asked, "Is Zhao Wuji really not dead?" Li Changfeng replied, "Honestly, the ancestor Emperor Zhao Wuji is really not dead. When the warlords from all directions were attacking the royal palace, Zhao Wuji actually released a ray of golden light that destroyed a palace and flew out from the depths of the earth. He immediately defeated the Emperor of Feathers and killed the barbarian sovereign. In less than a year, he also suppressed the 4 warlords and once again unified the country of Zhao. After that, I heard that Zhao Wuji had been hiding under the royal palace since more than 2,000 years ago. He even condensed his gold core and became the only gold core expert in Zhao. Zhao Wuji is a golden core expert." Su Fong was shocked. The state of Zhao had produced a golden core expert. Who else in the world could do anything to the state of Zhao? Right now, the various generals of the Zhao country are chasing after the defeated suzerains. I am in charge of chasing after the Scarlet Swallow Great Emperor. Do you know the power behind Zhao? I heard that the general said it was the Celestial Sealing Sect, but I don't know where they came from. I only know that even ancestral Emperor Zhao Wuji treated them as guests and let them stay in his palace. Zhao's princes and the Zhao imperial family all serve them day and night. They are very powerful. To be able to make Zhao Wuji pay lip service and disregard the status of the emperor, I'm afraid these experts are all gold core experts. What gold core experts? While listening to Li Changfeng talk about Zhao's situation, the Green Feather King in Xianhuang's Six Paths Pagoda secretly transmitted his voice. Zhao is just a small fry. Those experts who came to kill this king have long surpassed the gold core realm. Any one of them has great methods. Su Fong didn't say anything. He looked at Li Changfeng. In that case, ancestral Emperor Zhao Wuji is trying to curry favor with those experts. Right now, the entire Zhao is calling those experts from the Celestial Sealing Sect their grand emperors. They're secretly mocking Zhao Wuji for being an errand boy. Previously, he ordered the various armies to search for a rock. The Zhao side is busy eliminating the various gold core experts while also searching for a rock. But that kind of big goblin is impossible to capture. They're just sending their subordinates to their deaths, grumbled Li Changfeng. Buzz! Su Fong suddenly took out an empty pouch and handed it to Li Changfeng. That pouch was originally Li Changfeng's. Su Fong said, "Do something for me. Immediately bring Scarlet Swallow Emperor's head back. You'll still be a general. Secretly help me find the whereabouts of the former emperor's concubine Xiao, and then find King Yu. Also, secretly investigate the movements of the Celestial Sealing Sect's experts. If you can do this well, I'll return your freedom." Freedom was probably what Li Changfeng wanted the most right now. Li Changfeng agreed on the spot. Su Fong reminded him of a few more details before watching Li Changfeng take Scarlet Swallow Emperor's head into the sky. Whoosh! He sat down cross-legged and swallowed Scarlet Swallow Emperor's pill embryo. It was also a pill embryo at the 7th level of the vast core realm. It contained a shocking amount of spiritual energy. He used all his strength to break through to the 3rd level of the vast core realm. During this time, he also cleaned up the treasures that Scarlet Swallow Emperor had collected over the years. He didn't know until he saw them, but he was shocked. Although Scarlet Swallow Emperor was the lord of a small Scarlet Swallow Mountain, he had been dominating the area for many years. His empty pouch contained 2 large amounts of gold and silver. This was what Su Fong wanted. There were also various types of immortal pills, but none of them had reached the vast core realm. There were also various techniques and secret manuals. Among them, there were 5 types of divine abilities. To an outsider, these 5 divine abilities were extraordinary. However, to Su Fong, they were millions of times worse than the illusory fire cloud. They were suitable for family Su to cultivate. There were also some magic artifacts. There were close to 1,000 spiritual artifacts and 5 artifacts. 2 of them were in good condition, while the other 3 were damaged. They were also very old and needed to be repaired before they could be used. Looking at the entire empty pouch, he only needed the gold and silver. The rest of the immortal pills, magic artifacts, divine abilities, and spells were not useful to him. Whoosh whoosh, a few days later, a sound wave swept through the forest. He flashed into the forest and saw Li Changfeng flying over on his sword. He didn't expect him to be back so soon. He must have gotten something. "There is news from King Yu." Li Changfeng and Su Fong entered the forest. He couldn't wait and said, "The ancestral emperor imprisoned him in the imperial palace and crippled his cultivation. He is now a cripple. I don't think the ancestral emperor would kill someone like him. As for concubine Xiao, she somehow offended the ancestral emperor and disappeared overnight. No one knows where she is." Xiao Mei. He came under the mottled light and stared at the 3 suns in the sky. He pondered for a moment. Concubine Xiao wanted to obtain a treasure from the Zhao Empire's treasury. Maybe she was discovered by the ancestral Emperor Zhao Wuji when she broke into the treasury and was imprisoned somewhere. Concubine Xiao wants to take the treasure of the Zhao kingdom. Li Changfeng was shocked. He was suddenly curious about Su Fang's identity. If he wasn't from the royal family of the Zhao kingdom, why would he care about the royal family and know about concubine Xiao? Su Fang asked again, "Help me find out where concubine Xiao is in secret. Did the celestial sealing sect make any moves?" Li Changfeng said, "A few days ago, those people were very angry at Zhao Wuji. For the past few months, no one has found any trace of the rock. I think it must be the celestial sealing sect. They are not happy with the ancestral Emperor Zhao Wuji. However, some people have received other information. There are some masked, mysterious people looking for the rock as well." Masked, mysterious people? How come they weren't from the celestial sealing sect, looking for Lord Qingyu? Once Li Changfeng left, Su Fang hurriedly asked Lord Qingyu. Lord Qingyu sneered. "The human emperor's Ming chakram fragment is something many powers on the Crimson Heaven continent know about. We can't rule out the possibility that someone might have learned that the celestial sealing sect has the fragment and secretly came to the Zhao kingdom to look for this king. That's good. As long as they can't find this king, the celestial sealing sect and their experts will leave to look for this king elsewhere." Su Fang muttered, "I still want to kill King Yu for revenge. He's a cripple right now. Killing him would be easy, but he's in the Imperial Palace, and Zhao Wuji and the celestial sealing sect's experts are here. The celestial sealing sect's people will definitely leave." Lord Qingyu advised, "This king advises you not to get close to the celestial sealing sect's people. Their cultivation bases aren't golden core experts. A single thought from them can cover a large area. They can even find an ant. You should wait for them to leave before attacking. Furthermore, you have to keep getting stronger. If you're too weak, even if you successfully condense a golden core, you'll still be very weak. Once you're strong enough, this king will be able to leave this treasure to get some fresh air. How long do I have to wait?" He fell silent. He couldn't think of a solution. Su Fang could only continue cultivating. After devouring Scarlet Swallow Grand Emperor's core embryo and absorbing Yang Qi, his core embryo's spiritual energy had already reached a state of fullness. He immediately used the 100 acupoints finger art to forcefully attack his physical body, his bloodline, and his divine apertures. He repeated this no less than 100 times. Bang! He finally broke through. This time, a large amount of blood mist exploded and impurities poured out. His qi formed 3 layers. Vast core, 3rd layer, the core embryo melted into a purple river paste. Su Fang hurriedly used the power of advancement to condense the purple river. Soon, his core embryo appeared, and the power of advancement began to attack his divine aperture. Magic power circulated. Noon was the hottest time of the day. The state of Zhao at this moment, Su Fang was disguised as a beggar. Just as he was about to enter the city, he saw human heads hanging on the city walls. Those heads were the heads of various feudal lords or feudal lords. The state of Zhao had ordered that these heads be hung on the city gates forever to display their imperial might. They were all powerful people, so their heads wouldn't rot in a short time. But under the scorching sun, they attracted a lot of flies. Pound, Shui Wujian, and King Yu. There are many experts' heads here. Looking around, he really did see some familiar faces. There were hundreds of heads, and a dozen of them belonged to experts who had followed King Yu in the past. Unfortunately, these people had thought that they would follow King Yu and enjoy his imperial power. They didn't expect to end up like this. It's been half a year. The immortal sealing sect's experts still haven't returned to the Crimson Firmament continent. After smoothly entering the city, Su Fang calculated the time. They were waiting for the immortal sealing sect's experts to leave the state of Zhao. But if this continued, how long would it take? Su Fang spent his days scurrying around the city as a beggar. Most of the time, he would leave the city and find a secluded place to continue cultivating. A few days later, Li Changfeng brought good news from the palace. As Green Feather King had expected, The immortal sealing sex experts had left the state of Zhao. But this time it wasn't just them. The state of Zhao's ancestral emperor, Zhao Wuji, had also left. Li Changfeng continued. Zhao Wuji took away the current crown prince and all the other princes. He passed the throne to King Lang, and King Ming was made King Zhenwang. What about King Yu? Su Fang wanted to know how King Yu was doing. He's still under house arrest. His life is over. All the experts under him were killed. Is there any news of concubine Xiao? We haven't found anything yet. King Lang ascended the throne in the middle of the night. The palace guards are all his trusted aides. He also recruited many experts from all over the world. For example, the immortal sealing sex sacred emperor. Immortal sealing sex sacred emperor. This was news that caused Su Fang to be extremely surprised. The immortal sealing sex sacred emperor was just a tyrant. Now that he was able to follow the emperor and become a big shot in the state of Zhao, he was much stronger than a small prefecture lord. The immortal sealing sex sacred emperor working for King Lang is most likely related to Luo Muxue. That woman is related to King Lang. Su Fang thought a crane fairy by Lang. Perhaps she had also come to the state of Zhao. Chapter 110. Su Fang already had a plan. Since Zhao Wuji and the experts of the Celestial Sealing Sect had left, it was the best chance for him to kill King Yu and take back the Falling Moonblade. Li Changfeng first returned to Zhao to arrange an identity for Su Fang so that he could sneak into the palace. Li Changfeng did it without waiting for today. Imperial Palace Su Fang became an imperial guard under Li Changfeng's control. Su Fang was no stranger to the imperial palace, but he still needed to hide for a few days before he could make a move. He also needed to discuss with Li Changfeng so that he could not be implicated once he made a move. That night, rain fell early in the morning. Su Fang, who was in charge of patrolling during the day, changed into a black suit at night and approached the depths of the imperial palace alone. After Zhao Wuji regained the imperial power, the imperial palace resumed its strict patrolling. Su Fang hid his aura and flashed into the darkness. Not long after, he arrived at concubine Zhao's palace. This palace had been sealed and had become a forbidden palace. Climbing over the wall, he saw the familiar scenes of the past. The bustle was gone, and there were no palace maids or eunuchs. The bead curtains were still there, and there were no signs of battle. The interior was also empty, and there was not a single extra accessory. There were no traces of Xiao Mei. Thinking of the place where she had sneaked in, he immediately approached the Hall of Heaven. Late at night, he arrived at an abandoned forbidden palace. Fortunately, Xiao Mei had told him about the location of the treasury. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he used the Great Circle's ability to listen to the movements underground. The real treasury of Zhao was below. Hearing the ant nest, this was the innate ability of a Great Circle's expert, an ability that could only be obtained by defying the heavens and changing one's fate. After a dozen breaths, he really did hear movement in his ears. It was the sound of vital energy contracting and releasing. It seemed that there was someone cultivating underground. He estimated that it was about 10 feet underground. He continued to listen, and from time to time, he could hear the sound of breathing gradually fading away. The real treasury of Zhao was below. If Xiao Mei was captured by Zhao Wuji and was not killed, she might also be imprisoned below. Seeing that it was getting late, he could only leave and wait for a chance to confirm it in the future. When he returned to the Imperial Army camp, he disguised himself as an ordinary member of the Imperial Army and began patrolling during the day. Just like that, a month passed. For some reason, the atmosphere in the Imperial Palace changed. A large number of soldiers who did not belong to the Imperial Army were stationed in the palace, and the experts of the Imperial family were also secretly on guard. It seemed that something big was about to happen. Li Changfeng called Su Fang into the room. When there was no one around, he whispered, "King Ming has just called for a meeting with all the inner guards." He said that the Feather Emperor is coming back with the remaining dozens of Great Lord's forces, as well as the barbarian sovereign's former subordinates. They have broken through the defenses of several cities and will reach the imperial city in a few days. No wonder the sudden movement in the imperial palace caused Su Fong to frown. Wasn't the Feather Emperor injured by the ancestral Emperor Zhao Wuji? He should have suffered a crushing defeat the last time. Why would he still dare to come? You don't know how vicious and savage this Feather Emperor is. Back then, when he slaughtered his way into the imperial city, he dared to clamber above the imperial palace, killing many of the Zhao country's experts and inner guards. In the end, if it wasn't for Zhao Wuji, he really might have been able to take over the imperial palace. The Great Jade Mountain has existed for 1,000 years, and the other domain lords have also existed for 1,000 years. Even if they were defeated last time, they still have the strength to continue fighting with the Zhao country. Come, Feather Emperor, come quickly and kill all the Zhao country's imperial family. This way, it will be easier for me to kill King Yu. Su Fong was unusually excited. He did not expect the opportunity to come so quickly. Even the heavens were on his side. Once Zhao Wuji left, there would be no one in the Zhao country who could be a match for the Feather Emperor. Even if the Feather Emperor could not take down the Zhao country, he would still be able to heavily injure them. At that time, it would not be difficult for him to kill King Yu, find the Falling Moon Blade, and Xiao Mei'er. The Zhao country's energy was originally focused on dealing with the demons. Now that the Feather Emperor had come again, everyone in the palace was on tenterhooks. He also saw some familiar faces, such as Ho Ping, Tu Yi, Yang Zhongjue, and the others from Tianmen province. They had all become inner guards of the imperial family. He also saw Shen Huangqi. He had become the emperor's favorite and had the power to kill at all times. As for the assassination of the emperor, the Zhao country did not pursue the matter anymore. It seemed like they did not have the energy to look for Su Fong. This was why Su Fong could enter the palace and disguise himself as an imperial guard. Get up, and go to the city walls. The sky was still dark, and the imperial guards were still resting in the barracks. Who knew that a large number of generals would rush in and wave torches, ordering everyone to quickly prepare their equipment. Su Fong changed into armor and a helmet that covered his face. He held a scimitar and a bow as he followed a large number of imperial guards out of the barracks and onto the palace walls. Only when he reached the city walls did he see the flames of war in the distance. A large number of Zhao country soldiers were retreating, and the commoners were also fleeing. A few terrifying mounts had already arrived at the palace. The Zhao country had also sent out their mounts, and a large number of imperial guards were waiting in the air, on the back of a flying tiger. That's right, it was a flying tiger. A silver-robed man stood on the back of the tiger. This person wore a blue mask, and it was impossible to see what he looked like. He stood with his hands behind his back. Under the gazes of many people, he approached the palace. Many generals ran around the city walls and gave out orders. Everyone, wait for your orders. The Feather Emperor is here. The Feather Emperor, it turned out that the masked man was the strongest great overlord of the Zhao country. As the Feather Emperor flew over, a large number of defeated soldiers from the imperial palace rushed over. In the distance, many divine abilities descended. It was either treasures flying in the sky or divine abilities exploding. At this time, the important figures of Zhao country that Su Fong was familiar with appeared. Shen Huangqi and many experts, including the Heaven Gate's Saint Emperor, escorted the Ming King from the depths of the palace. A general gave another order. Close the city gates and don't let anyone in. Also, forbid anyone from flying into the palace. Order them to prepare for another battle around the palace. The Ming King led a large number of generals and stood on flying swords as they floated above the clouds. The Feather Emperor also appeared with experts. The Feather Emperor shouted in a forceful and domineering tone, "Ming King, hand over the palace, and I can spare your Zhao country's imperial family." The Ming King, who was now a king, replied calmly, "You still have no respect for the dynasty. You learned your lesson last time. Look at the heads of barbarian sovereign and a group of traitors still hanging on the city walls. Do you want to end up like them? My dynasty didn't investigate your past, but you still dare to be so presumptuous. The dynasty owes you a favor. The Feather Emperor mocked. He then looked at the experts behind him. We are all feudal lords, and which one of us isn't a descendant of the various kingdoms? Your Zhao country destroyed our kingdoms, slaughtered our ancestors, and took everything away. Do you still expect us to be grateful to you? There are no eternal enemies in this world. Everyone can sit down and talk. You can also take back your territories and treat this as a passing cloud. How about that? The Ming King looked at the various feudal lords with sincerity. Before the Feather Emperor could speak, one of the feudal lords roared, "What's the point of wasting words with the Zhao country? Our ancestors were hunted down by the Zhao country's imperial family and were forced to live in the wilderness. We can only struggle at death's door in the hinterlands. Today, we will settle our grudges with the country." Another feudal lord said, "Brother Feather Emperor, this is an opportunity not to be missed. While that old bastard Zhao Wuji isn't here, let's give the Zhao country a quick death." How many countries have the Zhao country destroyed during the various wars? How many of their imperial family descendants are still alive? So all the feudal lords are descendants of the imperial family. Within the imperial guards, Su Fong could clearly hear the conversation between the Ming King and the Ming King. At first, he had thought that the feudal lords were all bandits. He hadn't expected them to be the same as his family Su. They had been forced by the Zhao country and had no choice but to establish their own factions. "Did you hear that? That's our answer," said the Feather Emperor to the Ming King. The Ming King suddenly waved his hand and led his experts away. "There's a path to heaven, but no gates to hell. Since you want to seek death, my dynasty will accompany you to the end. Let's see who has the last laugh." The Feather Emperor also led his feudal lords away. Swish, swish, swish. In just a short while, a large number of defeated Zhao country soldiers arrived from outside the imperial palace. There were probably over 10,000 of them. The feudal lords were also charging over. The Zhao countryside also began to move. Many experts stood on their flying swords and flew around the imperial palace. They tossed out runes, and a large barrier covered the imperial palace. Kill! Many of the Zhao country's generals charged out of the city gates and gathered the defeated soldiers. They once more formed an army and pushed out the heavenly lion divine cannons in front of the imperial palace's walls. They gathered even more soldiers, and soon there were nearly 100,000 of them. There were also over 100 heavenly lion divine cannons. The vast core realm generals gave the orders to attack, and the cannons released shocking energy flames. The majority of the Zhao country's forces were gathered around the imperial palace. Even if there were other Zhao country forces outside the imperial palace, they probably wouldn't choose to support the imperial palace in this kind of situation. Outside the imperial palace, the Zhao countryside had already taken the initiative to attack. Inside the imperial palace, tens of thousands of imperial guards were also waiting. The imperial palace was protected by a barrier, and it was impregnable. Our chance has come. Let's take the Zhao country's treasury first. Perhaps the two sides wouldn't immediately start fighting. Furthermore, the Zhao country had a barrier protecting it. It was impossible for them to have such a method to protect the imperial palace. Right now, the Zhao country was united against the Feather Emperor, so the imperial palace was definitely empty. Su Fong had Li Changfeng purposely move him away from the imperial palace's walls so that he could change into a set of black clothes and sneak into the depths of the imperial palace. As he had expected, the majority of the imperial guards were gathered around the imperial palace's walls, waiting to fight the imperial palace's overlords. Even the number of patrolling imperial guards had decreased by more than half. It took an hour for him to see a group of imperial guards pass by, and they were also in a hurry. Abandoned imperial palace after entering, Su Fong immediately crouched on the ground and listened to the movements below. He still didn't sense any auras. There shouldn't be many people below the treasury, but they were definitely all experts. After arriving at the palace, he began to search for the mechanism. Very quickly, he found traces of a side hall that had been roughly cleaned. After recalling some of the words Xiao may or had heard about the treasury, he finally found the mechanism and opened the secret door. The entrance to the secret path appeared in front of him, but he didn't immediately enter. That was because Xiao Mei had been attacked as soon as she had entered the secret path. So he had communicated with Xianwang. This time, he wanted to borrow the Green Feather King's power. Brat, you're lucky you were careful. Let this king take a look at it for you. The image of a Xian Guang pagoda flickered on his right arm. The Green Feather King released a demonic light and looked at the secret path. This secret path's entrance is blocked by the auras of 3 runes. As long as you touch any of them, the runes will explode with the power of a golden core cultivator. In other words, the runes at the entrance were set up by a human cultivator with a golden core. Xiao Mei was injured because she activated this rune last time. Could it be that a rune left behind by a golden core expert was Zhao Wuji? With the Green Feather King's help, Su Fang also sensed the auras of the 3 runes. He carefully flashed through the center without making the slightest movement. Chapter 111. After landing on the ground, he heaved a sigh of relief. He had entered a lot of treasure vaults, but this secret passage in Zhao country was dangerous. Even Xiao Mei, who was close to the Gold Core realm, was defeated by this trap. Looking at the bottom of the passage, there were many spirit stones instead of gems. The passage was filled with a shocking amount of spiritual qi, and it was very old. This meant that this secret chamber had been built for a long time. Using his perfect realm ability, he carefully moved forward step by step. His hearing, vision, and strength had all reached the peak, and he was close to the peak of the vast core realm. In the mysterious yellow pagoda, Green Feather King laughed. Kid, you're so timid. Are you like a mouse? Calling you a mouse is too flattering. There are 3 experts in this secret chamber, and they're all at the 10th level of the vast core realm. They're condensing their gold core. Their strength can't be compared to that little fox, but in this little Zhao country, they're very powerful. Without waiting for Su Fang's response, Green Feather King continued. Speaking of mice, there's a very powerful mouse in the Crimson Nimbus continent called the Heavenly Drill Mouse Emperor. It's this king's old enemy. When you go to the Crimson Nimbus continent, this king will cooperate with you to suppress it. How cunning, using me to deal with your enemy. With his back against the wall, he could clearly feel the bone-chilling cold. Green Feather King was still planning. You're following a little fox, so what can you achieve? At most, you'll be a little hoodlum. This king will lead you to suppress the little monsters, and this king will lead you to suppress the demon kings, demon emperors, and demon emperors. But when the time comes, you'll have to become this king's little brother. Seems like the Heavenly Drill Mouse Emperor is indeed a big goblin. Not to mention the big goblin, Su Fang was really curious. The more monsters the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda absorbed, the stronger it became. Naturally, it would be willing to suppress more powerful big goblin. Huff, huff, huff. After a day, he had only moved less than 100 meters. Seeing that he was about to reach the underground chamber, he immediately heard 3 intermittent breathing sounds. This was only heard by using his perfect realm ability. If it was an ordinary vast core realm expert, they wouldn't be able to hear it. Sure enough, there were 3 of them. They were also formidable fools. At this moment, Su Fang found a cracked cave less than 10 feet away from the secret chamber guarded by the 3 experts. I'll wait for the Zhao country to start the war and make a big commotion to attract the attention of the 3 experts. Then, I'll make a fatal strike. Even if I make a big commotion, no one will be able to detect it. Chapter 112. Magic Treasure Spirit Vein. There was a magic treasure spirit vein inside the rune talisman. Su Fang activated the rune talisman once more, and Su Yunshin's appearance appeared once more, repeating what he had said before. However, Su Fang searched the entire space inside the rune talisman, but he didn't find the magic treasure spirit vein. What was going on? The rune talisman is still here, but the magic treasure spirit vein is gone. There's only one explanation. Someone from my family, Su, also came here and took away the magic treasure spirit vein. Su Fang's eyes brightened. This was most likely the reason, but was also very regretful. A certain genius from the family, Su, had taken away the spirit vein, but his name hadn't shaken the entire Heaven Sect city. That meant that person had failed, and the magic treasure spirit vein was also gone. If he could obtain another magic treasure spirit vein, he would definitely be able to fuse with the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda faster. The Great World's purple light sacred land. I didn't expect my magic treasure spirit vein to come from a great world. He had heard of the origin of Purple Chi Mountain since he was a child, but he didn't expect it to really be a purple light descending from the heavens. That was how the family Su's ancestor, Su Yunxian, obtained this peerless treasure. But in the end, Su Yunxian had died at Zhao Wuji's hands, and he had even been chopped into pieces. He didn't know much about the Great World, so he asked the Green Feather King for advice. The latter lazily said, "The Great World is the world where immortals live. This king has never been there, so no one knows if immortals really exist. But to go to the Great World, your cultivation must reach the peak, pass heavenly tribulation, and then enter the Great World. You still have a long way to go. If you want to go to the Great World, you must become the #1 expert of the Crimson Firmament continent. You must have the power to suppress the immortal sealing sect." Then I'm biting off more than I can chew. But Green Feather King, who knows what will happen in the future? I, Su Fang, used to be a cripple who couldn't cultivate. I worked hard step by step until today. I also believe that a speck of dust from a vast world like me will eventually fill the heavens and earth and enter the Great World. Putting away the falling moon blade, he had fulfilled one of his regrets. His final wish was to kill King Yu and avenge his father. Bang he stayed in the secret chamber of the treasury for almost a month. During this time, he swallowed immortal pills and digested the meridian loosening pill. There were some subtle changes in his core embryo. Some golden light appeared in the scarlet core embryo. Furthermore, there were some corporeal particles in the dantian. After asking the Green Feather King, Xiao Chan learned that he had picked up a huge bargain this time. After Su Fang heard this, the scene from back then appeared in his mind. "That man you killed back then," Xiao Mayer snorted. "He was my senior brother. I came to the Zhao clan with him and learned that my master had been killed. Together, we snuck into the palace to search for the pill cauldron. It wasn't easy to find the location of the treasury and draw a map. We decided to wait for an opportunity to take back the pill cauldron. Along the way, we went to search for spirit herbs to increase our strength. Who knew that he would try to kill me halfway? Wanted to take the pill cauldron for himself. Fortunately, my master reminded me to be careful of my senior brother. It's your good fortune that you're still alive." Su Fang finally learned of Xiao Meier's origins. Xiao Meier angrily said, "Good fortune Zhao Wuji wanted to obtain more pill formulas from me. If it weren't for that, he would have already killed me. It's a pity that the pill cauldron was taken away by him. I should go find King Yu and report where he killed my father. You and the others should find a secret passage to escape from the Imperial City." Su Fang stood up, and the others had more or less recovered. Xiao Meier stopped him. "I'll go with you. The Zhao clan killed my master and harmed Sangyu. I have a blood feud with them that won't end until one of us is dead. Up to you, but I like to act alone." However, Su Fang's strength had long since surpassed Xiao Meier's. Before Xiao Meier could see him clearly, Su Fang had already disappeared from the secret room. Xiao Meier was so angry that she hastily chased after him. Boom! The door to the secret passage was shattered by Su Fang, and the talisman at the mouth of the passage was also destroyed. He arrived above the abandoned palace. It was currently night, and the imperial city of Zhao was enveloped in flames. It was like hell on earth. There were no more imperial guards around, and the barrier above the imperial palace was long gone. Looking at the night sky and the surroundings of the imperial city, There were collisions of magic treasures and dazzling sparks from divine abilities. From time to time, the imperial palace would be illuminated as if it were daytime. Su Fong flashed and flew to the other side of the imperial palace. Along the way, he encountered many imperial guards who were like ants on a hot pan, fleeing in all directions. It's this forbidden palace. In a few breaths, he stepped on his immortal sword and arrived above the forbidden palace. Su Fong stared at the palace. This was the palace where King Yu was imprisoned. There were still some imperial guards, palace maids, and eunuchs in the courtyard who were trembling in fear. He grabbed the flying sword and landed. Before he could say anything, the palace maids and eunuchs fainted from fright. The imperial guards were also so frightened that they fled from the palace.